Ladies and gentlemen, boys and squirrels, today on the Tim Marner podcast show, I've got the head of creative Tim Marner, Gaz Leigh.
Why'd you have your eyes closed
I
then?
don't know. I felt like I wanted to really feel what I'm saying because I don't know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Where did we first meet? We've had this conversation. We've told this story a little bit, haven't we?
Iterations over the years,
Lee and
I
I
think.
set up in 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
And then all of a sudden, Lee said, I'm going to buy some Macs from PC World. And then he says, oh, I've met this lad.
Well, he never bought the Macs. I think he'd already bought the Macs.
Oh, I didn't. What were he coming down for?
He came down for a network hard drive. That's what he come in for. That's what I met him anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a good story, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the whole thing of me not being supposed to be at work and all that. Do you want me to tell the story?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I used to work at PC World. I used to work at, Curry's PC World, but I used to work there when I was at university initially. I think just before I finished, started my third year.
So before that, obviously, I need for you know what my memory's like. You got a degree in graphic design.
Graphic design, yeah.
Right.
University of Central Lancashire.
Looking for a position as a graphic designer in places, but you didn't find anything. Or whereabouts were you in that process?
Looking for an opportunity,
Yeah.
but not actively looking.
Right, okay.
So, like, I think to backpedal further, like, it's a weird one, and I think I discovered this more as I've got older, but no one knows what they want to do they, at like 18, 19 or whatever it is. So I just sort of got into graphic design at college, and I was like, I really enjoyed design and creativity just in general and stuff. So that's when I went to university doing it. And even when I was there, I was sort of like, do I want to do this? Like, will I get in the industry? Am I passionate enough to sort of like get there and all the rest of it? And am I good enough, I guess, was the other question. So I was contemplating teaching, doing a degree. Obviously, like you do a degree, but it's like you want to do something with it afterwards, I guess. So I was like, and I guess it seems like a lot of people go into teaching, do you know what I mean? And it's a good job, I guess, you get benefits and all the rest of it. So I was looking at that. But it wasn't until my last 6 months at university when I was doing the degree where I was like, oh, no, actually. And it sort of clicked. I think for the first 2 years, it didn't really click. I wasn't the best student anyways, in terms of like what an example student would be, I guess, What
clicked in you?
Just everything. It's weird. It's the weirdest thing ever. Just like, I don't know. Everything just starts to make sense. You know what I mean? You go through the motions. I guess it was like the Karate Kid moment, I guess. Whereas I've been doing the stuff, but I was doing for doing sake. So I was being told to do it. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't say I was bad at it. You know what I mean? I was fairly good at it. But something never felt quite right, and I don't know what that was. I still couldn't say to this day what it was. And then it was just sort of like the last 6 months, it just sort of clicked, and I got it, and I was like, oh shit, actually right. And I really started enjoying it then, to the point of where it was annoying because I spent 2.5 years, I guess, like just splashing around in the water, and then the last 6 months I was like, oh actually, and I just sort of got it. And then
is that because you were putting things together near the end for a sort of final purpose for projects that you thought, oh, I can actually see this work? Maybe,
yeah. I've always said that, like, the sort of theoretical side of it did my head in, because like you don't really have any accountability, I don't think, to be like, I'm obviously delivering it for yourself, but delivering it for other people, aren't you? It's going into a real world scenario and all the rest of it. So I always struggle with that side of education, I think, anyways, is the fact that if I was actually doing it, it would have been, I think I would have applied myself more, if that makes any sense, because it makes a difference or something, I don't know. But yeah, it was like that in the last 6 months. I was like, oh, right, no, okay, cool, I could do this. And I remember, like, obviously, as I said, I wasn't the best student in terms of like turning in. Like, I'd go in, but I went in all the time. You have the people who are in day out, mithering the tutors and all that. But yeah, anyways, did all that, graduated, and then I sort of was just like, it's going to take a minute. That's why when I sort of came back. It was weird. I always describe this as like the weirdest sort of feeling ever. Is like you're in that race, that process of, from being 4 years old, you go to school, you do 9 months, whatever it is, you have 10 months, then you have 2 months off in the summer, and then you go back, but you go to the next year, and there's always that predetermined path ahead of you, isn't there? Right, okay, I'm in year thinking, I'm going to secondary school, or I'm going to college, and then you go to university. So I had that because I did I did 3 years at college. I did a year at university, so I did 4 years at uni, 3 years at college when you're supposed to do 2 and 3. Well, if you go through the system, like I guess how you're supposed to.
Yeah, for the system.
The system, exactly, yeah, and how you're supposed to do it and all the rest of it. So I was 22 when I graduated, nearly 23. So I was like, well, sort of finished that process, but it was weird. I remember having the moment is you did like your final hand in. I think the last week, I was telling the girls this the other day actually, break the fourth wall there, sorry, and Sean hiding not to the side. But I think it was the last 3 days of that last week I didn't sleep. So I was awake from, it's either Tuesday to Friday, or I think you just work solid just to get my work done. Yeah. Obviously my own fault because I probably should have done it a bit earlier, but here you go. And then we did like a tradition where on the last day you hand in at 4, so you had to have your degree show on the wall. And they had a tradition at the university I went to was you go to the pub over the road, the Guild, for a pint. Everyone went. It was like the last sort of hurrah sort of thing. I remember putting back in the day, this night I'm showing my age a little bit, but like weren't tap on, tap off on your card and all that. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't think I had a contactless card at the time. It's probably chip and pin, but even a lot of places then it was all cash. Like you couldn't just like the pub then didn't have a card reader. So there was a little cash point at the SU, and about 10 of us went because everyone ever needed cash. And I remember sticking my card in the thing, and you've just been on this dead, intense week of not sleeping. Nice, but also it's been an intense year because it's your third year. And I remember just drawing like 40 quid out of the thing, and I remember I had that realisation going, shit, I've just finished. You know what I mean? That thing I've just done for 22 years of my life has all sort of led to this moment, and it's sort of done. But even then, it wasn't really done because you had your degree show still with your parents coming. You had still had to get everything signed off and all the rest of it, and you had the summer coming up and all that. And I think it wasn't really until I got to the other end of the summer. So I'd done my degree show, I'd done whatever I was doing, and then it came into like September when I should have been going back to university, and I was like, oh shit, I've got nothing to go back to now. It's like real world time, I guess. So from there,
can you remember you saying that bit like, oh shit, what do I do? Or like,
no, it wasn't like a fear thing. It was just a realization. I wasn't like, shit, I'm stuck or I'm scared. It wasn't nothing like that, but it was just like one of those moments. I think you always look back and you've got landmark moments in your life. And I look back and I was like, oh right, okay, cool. Not cool, but I was like, oh shit, like that's over with now. Like what do I do now? And I think that's the thing of figuring out what I wanted to do. Going forward. But I was at that point. Then, like I say, after that 6 months, I was like, no, I think I can do this. I think getting in this industry, I think I can actually like make a career for myself. So yeah, I did, but straight away I didn't go, even then, because go back again. So in the Guild, the pub, we had a pint outside in the beer garden, and then finished a pint. So I'll go in and buy another one. And as I'm buying the pint, like the head of the course comes in, like puts his arm on my shoulder, and he was like,
"You're not gonna make it, Gaz."
No. That's you. That's a few years after. He come in, he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, whatever he's having, I'll have another one of them. And he was like, he had like a personal tutor, so like you got assigned to a specific tutor, you had to turn up. Just so happened mine was the head of the course, and he was like the most strict, I'd guess, of all the tutors. You know what I mean? Everyone sort of ducked out the way of dealing with him because he was dead to the point and all that. But I quite like that because that's what I'm like as a person, So me and him actually got on quite well. Especially when I started like turning it on a little bit in the last 6 months, and he was like, oh, he's not a total waste of space, he has got something to offer sort of thing. So he puts his arm on my shoulder and he goes, whatever he's having, I'll have another one of that. And he goes, congratulations, cheers, like obviously. So both had a pint and a swig, and he swigs his beer, puts it down the desk, and I can't remember what the open lines, it was something along the lines of, you're a knobhead, you. And so I was like, why? And he said, because you're really good. He said, but you've made this as hard as possible for yourself. He said, because when you face a problem, he goes, you've not come in to like, you'll have a problem, you don't understand something, or you're struggling with it. He goes, you don't come in and go to me, like, help me. He says, you'll just go away and figure it out on your own, and you torture yourself with it. And I get totally what he was saying, and he was pointing around, he's going, these lot, he goes, they're probably going to get a better grade than you. He's probably got a better portfolio than you. He said, but you're a better designer. Yeah. He said that they've just been sort of like just coming to us, everything, just zapping us and going and getting us going, like, tell me exactly what to do, and they've gone and done it. So I was like, I totally get it, totally get what you're saying, but then sort of had a swig and beer, I went, but is that not going to benefit me more when I get out there in the industry? I was like, because when that safety net, you guys, is removed, like, these guys are going to struggle. I've been doing it for 3 years. So when I finally get into doing something myself, I have to work on my own, freelance, whatever it is, surely I'm more conditioned for that environment. And he was like, yeah, you're not wrong.
How many people within your thing are actually still in the industry? What they've...
From my year, I mean, it's weird because I sort of had 2 years before, because I had a year out. So like half my mates left when I was on my year out, or when I was, when I had the year out, and then the other half of the ones I actually graduated with. I say quite a few, still in and around, doing stuff. Not necessarily the discipline we did. Some of them gone to do web design and all the rest of it. And obviously I don't keep up with everyone. I only had obviously I got on with quite a few people at university. Like, I've always been a bit like, anywhere I go, I get on with people quite well. But true, like, close mates, there was probably like, I'd say probably like 5 or 6 of us, But most of them, yeah, they're doing all right. But yeah, so he give me the talk, and he was chatting to me for about half an hour, can't remember how long it was a long time. And the end of the conversation was, I think it's when LinkedIn's been out for quite a while, but I think it was started being used properly at the time. And he was like, make a LinkedIn profile, because obviously he had contacts in the industry and all that. He said, make a LinkedIn profile. He said, add me on it. He says, sort your portfolio out over the next 6 weeks or whatever it is, and then come to me and I'll try and get you basically a job. So I was like, all right, sweet. And then the other tutor, who's like, let's have the one under him, we just finished our pint. So I was like, all right, I ordered another one. And as I was just about to leave, he shouts, well, I was getting my beer, and he shouts to the other tutor. He goes, what do you always say about Gaz? He goes, very good, but he's a knobhead, he needs to, like, things like that. And then he gives me the same fucking talk that he'd just given me for another half an hour, and exactly the same thing. So I had the opportunity, I guess. I did make the account. I think I did connect with him on there, but then I never pursued it past that.
Everything they said to you in that moment, like, what do you think about it now, looking back on, the sort of...
Accurate. Yeah, I think they were bang on the money. And I think it was... Because I always thought I was decent at it. And like my peers used to say that to me, I had people who said to me, it's like, oh, you need to try harder. Like, you need to come in more, because you're actually, like, really good at what you do when you do it. But I've always had that approach, me, to life of, like... I think... It's like, I think you should be good at what you do, but I think you should also, like, live life as well. And I probably did a bit too much of the living of life, especially at university with the experience and all that. But even when I was at school, like, you had the people who were, like, super studious, was like, all they did was, like, study. And I was like, you don't know how long you've got. You could get run over by a bus tomorrow, do you know what I mean? Like, so I always try to strike a balance, me, of, listen, being good at what you do, but also having time to, when it comes to the weekend, or when it comes to this, just chilling out, switching off from it, doing what you want to do. So I think you need that balance. Yeah. But again, I think that balance was off where, when I was supposed to be doing work, I was playing video games, or going out drinking, or doing whatever I was doing, So I think what they said was accurate, but it was ultimately down to me to make it happen.
So how long was it since then? What time was it we were at PC World before from leaving to meeting Lee for the first time? How long was that?
It was probably about a year.
Right.
So, but
you just kind of giving yourself a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Done that, like, it'll come when it comes.
Yeah. So what I did was, like, I knew I was wanting to do it, but I was, like, figuring out how I wanted to get in there and what route I wanted to do. I always thought I wanted to come to an agency to get experience, because I think that's invaluable, especially when you're starting your career out. But yeah, I didn't know whether I wanted to do bits of freelance, which I ended up doing, and all this sort of stuff. But I just wanted a reset, because obviously I come from uni, you're in debt, like, I say mega debt, but like, you're in your overdraft, and you've not got much money, and you're working part time. So I sort of come back, and I said to myself, I'm going to enjoy the summer, just chill, like, spend time with my friends, do all that. And then when September rolls around, I'll kick on. And as September rolled around, that's when I got the opportunity to go and work at AO on sales. I was basically doing what I was doing at PC World, but getting full-time, getting paid commission, which I thought was a decent idea. And I was never going to stay there for long, but I was just like, I wanted to, like, sort of hit the reset button financially and thinking, straighten myself out, which I did. So I did 9 months there, which was the majority of that year and a half was taken up by working there. So I did 9 months there. Like I say, got a bit of money behind me, got a new car. The car's still on today. Probably need a new one now, actually. But yeah, I bought myself a new car, went on holiday, did all that sort of stuff. Got myself straight. And then I just had enough there. And I was like, right, okay, I want to like actively chase getting into the industry now. So then I quit my job there. I actually decided I was quitting when I was on the beach in Turkey.
Well, tell me that story.
Well, I was saying I was doing bits of freelance. I was just doing bits of work for friends on whatever. You know, you start out, you do it, don't you? You just do anything you can for anyone to get a bit of experience. And one of my friends who I met at Curry's PC World, actually, there was a sports festival. It was a Hindu sports festival, something like that, at Bolton Arena. And apparently they host them in different cities and towns like over the years. And it was Bolton's turn in 2013, I think it was. So my friend Nishi said, "Oh, you know, can you do as a logo? Can you help us out doing a logo for it?" So I was like, yeah, cool. Like, and it's like a bit of a freelance brief, you know, something to work on. And I was looking at doing that. This was the summer as I'd finished. So I had a bit of free time. So I did the logo and they got it printed on. Everyone had a hoodie, everyone had a t-shirt, so I had the logo and all that. And he got me, you know, one. He had my gamer tag on the back of it, Flash League, you know, just as a bit of a thank you. He got it printed. So I had my logo in like a physical form, so I think it's pretty cool. And that happened. And then, like I say, I went working at AO and it was about 9 months later. And it was about a week before I was going on holiday. And I was telling the girls the other day, we had a pool table at AO in the canteen.
That's when who's it owned it? Who was it called?
John Roberts, I think. I don't know if he still owns it now.
Does it?
Yeah, he may be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hear quite a bit.
Good culture that, weren't it, when it first started?
Oh, unbelievable when I first went, yeah. Ironically, I was there. Within that 9 months I was there, it flipped to being a public company.
Right,
Is that right? Yeah, so where they trade on the stock market.
Yeah.
I think investors got involved and it
all changed, didn't it?
all changed, yeah. But before that, yeah, it was
chocolate bars.
Yeah, free cans of pop, ping pong, pool, all the rest of it. But I had a friend who we're on the same sales team, used to go for lunch together. We used to go a bit later so that the majority of the people had been through for the lunch. So we'd go up, we'd get some lunch, but then it'd be empty. We'd play pool. But we used to go up and we'd get the papers and we'd like read the paper while we're eating our food. And I flicked through and there was a photo of a family in there. I can't remember what the article was about, but one of the guys was wearing the hoodie so he'd kept hold of the...
Was that first time you saw your logo on something?
A logo I'd done, probably other than stuff I'd done.
Yeah.
Out of context as well, you know, months after. Yeah. And the guy was still wearing the hoodie that he'd kept from the festival. So I went, "Oh, no way." And I said to my mate Kev across the table at the time, I said, "Look at this." I said, I did that. He went, "No way." And then he was chatting to me, "Oh, did you ever think about doing that?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that's the goal sort of thing." And then I went on holiday and it would, like I say, it had gone a bit shit from my point of view anyways there. I never really wanted to do sales. I didn't really believe in it. It was just a good money maker for me personally, you know, and just to, like I say, get myself sorted. But I was never going to stay there long term. And so I was on the beach in Turkey on holiday and I just decided, I was like, yeah, I'm going to quit when I get back. Which was fine by the time I was living with my dad. My dad's like he's always been pretty set in his ways and pretty strict about, like, you know, looking after yourself money wise.
Yeah, shout out to our Mick.
Yeah, Mick can. So like I thought it was going to be it was always like either going to be a big thing talking to him about or telling him that I was going to do it because he's a bit of a worrier, but like, you know, he's like, "Oh, you need to sort this, you need to sort that," and I was like, "Oh, here we go." So I remember getting back and I ended up going to the pub with him, my uncle, on the Saturday or whatever, and I had like a 4-day weekend. I always remember that's when I got back. I was off Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and I was back in on the Wednesday. And I went to the pub, like first pint, took a swig of it, and I went, "I'm going to quit." Like that. And I stood there thinking, "Yeah, fucking come at me," do you know what I mean? Like, I'm having a beer, like, I'll let you give me this shit, I'll let you, do you know, like, say your piece for a couple of days, and then, like, we'll move on or whatever. And he just went, "Well, as long as you support yourself, do what you want." And I remember, like, almost, you know, like, being taken aback, and I was a bit like, "What?" Like, I was expecting, like, this big, like, barrage of, like, you just need to do that. He went, "As long as you can support yourself, I don't mind." I was like, "All right, sick." So yeah, just that Wednesday rolled around, and I walked him.
So what was it on the holiday then that you made the decision? What was it in that moment that?
It was on the beach, just like sat there, like contemplating, and I wasn't happy there anyways. And I think it was the fact that I seen my thing, and I don't know why in that moment I was like, I thought about it, and I was like, someone was wearing something I've designed.
Yeah.
Like,
Quite fulfilling.
But past the thing, I was like, well, maybe, do you know, like, and I think it's hard, isn't it? When you're not here, you don't have any experience under your belt, and no one telling you you're any good at it. You don't think you're any good at it, do you? Even though you could be, you're the best in the world, you know. But you need that belief, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's not saying I didn't believe in myself, but I think you just need that little bit of confidence, that one thing, and I think that was it in that moment for me. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I reckon I can do this, and I need at least I need to give it a crack. Was the thing, or. Not that I wasn't going to give it a crap, but it's like, this is the time. And I just thought, why not? It just felt right, you know what I mean? I think we've had a conversation where you did something similar.
Yeah.
It just feels right. You get to it and you go, right, no, yeah, this is the right time.
Yeah.
So I remember going in with the notice in an envelope, and I walked in, and the head of sales used to sit where we sit, and he's the big gaffer. And I walk in, but I think my shift started at 1 PM, and I was in there at 11. And he like points at me across the thing. He goes, what an absolutely brilliant attitude. He goes, been on holiday for a week. He said he's come in 2 hours early to get the numbers rolling, and he stands up and he applauds me.
He doesn't.
And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so what happened as well in the time is I think they thought everyone was getting a bit like lax because everyone was in teams. And the teams were cool. Like, my first team that I was on was like, the vibes were really good. But then I think they thought like everyone's getting a bit comfortable. So they rearranged all the teams to shake it up in line with this old takeover thing or whatever it was. So I ended up on this other team. It wasn't quite as good. My manager was a bit...
No cunt.
Yeah, well, I won't say that's probably a bit harsh, but I think what she wanted from life in the world didn't really affect what I wanted from life in the world. I just didn't see, like, I can say eye to eye.
Nicely put, Gaz.
Yeah, do you know, so...
Nicely put.
So yeah, it was always a bit like abrasive. The people that I was on the team with weren't quite as cool as the people that were on my own team and stuff. So when I went back to my first team leader. So I didn't even go to her to have my resignation, and I went to the other guy. He was dead set in a good relationship. He was into his comic books and all that, so we got on quite a bit. And I just gave him my envelope, said, "Can I give you this?" And he was like, "No." And he took me into like one of the glass meeting rooms, you know, that thing. Yeah. And he'd worked really hard with me, you know, to get through my probation and all that sort of stuff. So he didn't want me to go. He's like, "I'll move you, like, I'll get you a thing." And I was like, "It's nothing against you, the company, or anything else today. It's just I shouldn't be here." You know what I mean? Like, someone else will do a better job what I'm doing here, and I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be doing something else. Like, I'm gonna give a thing. And he was gutted to see me go. Like, and then I remember the guy just applauding me, calls him in because he's like, "I have to thing you." So obviously he was like, "Well, you're not even gonna work your notice." And I was like, "I will do if you want." I said, "But we're in sales. I'm here for a week, 2 weeks. Like, do you think I'm really going to try hard to sell anything?" He was like, "Nice meeting you," and shook my hand, and I just left, and that right. Went home. And then after there, I did I think it's about 3 months just working on portfolio, doing bits for other people here and there, like similar jobs. And then I was like, all right, okay, I'm just going to get a part-time job just to keep me going. While I'm building myself up and getting a portfolio ready and all the rest of it. So I did that just over the Christmas period. And then it was like, it must have been January, February time where I met Lee. It was early in the year.
Should we talk about the universe a little bit, right? And let's just talk about things. Obviously, you've been sort of open to spirituality and universe, and you know the woo woo and stuff like that.
Spilt my drink.
Does he go on the table? Go on, just get a.
Sorry.
It's fine.
First time anyone's done that. Go on, sorry. I cut you off. Back to what you were doing.
As soon as we start talking about the universe aligns and Gaz spills his water.
Classic tactics.
There's things happened in your life, haven't there? Right? Meeting Lee, you seeing that thing in the paper on the holiday. Do you know that there's something there? Or do you kind of not put any onus on it? You're just like, things have happened to you, mate, in coincidence, universe, or whatever you call it, I believe are happening for you at the right time.
Yeah, I believe everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And do you
attach that to the universe or spirituality?
I think you attach it to something that you can't explain. However you want to dress it up, you call it spirituality or the universe or a divine creator, whatever it is. That's all it is. I always say to students, everybody believes essentially in the same thing.
Yeah.
They just refer to it differently. And I think the issue that the whole spirituality thing has is that it gets woo-wooified. It seems a bit hippie.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's like, it's the way I put it, is just everything happens for a reason. Because I think that's much more accessible for people. But yeah, so it gets even better than that though, because like you're putting the pieces together already, but I'll tell you the next piece of the story. So when I actually met Leigh, and this is, I always tell these people the crazy stories. So obviously I was working at PC World. It was like in the new year, dead quiet. And at the time, there was a guy working there who was he was always off. He never turned in or whatever it was. And the guy, the manager, he comes to me, he says, Gaz, he goes, can you cover a shift for me on Friday in like 3 weeks' time? So at the time, I was like, oh yeah, mint, because it's just like a bit of extra money. So I was like, yeah, cool. And it's a Friday day shift, so not too bad. But the thing about that was, especially at that PC World, it were quiet at the best of times. So when you did a day shift, especially on a Friday, not a weekend, oh my God, it was dead. It was boring. You stood around, you maybe made like 2-3 sales in the day. So I agreed to it. I was like, yeah, cool. And then literally the Wednesday before the Friday, I was like, do I need to work that shift? Because I really can't be arsed. I was trying to do this other thing, like I was working on something like portfolio based or whatever it was. Really rather thought for me. And the guy was like, mate, he goes, you've agreed to it now, I've ordered you in. He goes, I can't get you out of it. I was like, all right, sound. So obviously this was the day that I met Leigh, funnily enough, and I actually tried getting out of the shift 2 days before, but obviously I couldn't. So again, if you're talking, whatever you're talking.
Yeah. Whatever you're talking.
Yeah. Well, again, just, however you want to parlance it. Is the right word, is it? Parlance? Maybe. So obviously Leigh comes walking in, and it was dead. Like, he's the only person in the store. It must be about 11 o'clock. He must have been on his way here, obviously. And so generally when someone walks in, if you're in the sales, you greet them. So, hey, mate, are you doing all right? Can I help you with anything? Anything menial. At the time, this was anyway, so I don't know if it's current PC World policy, or probably even if it was at the time, was it current PC's policy, but like generally the rule of thumb is like, if someone's buying a TV, a white good, or a laptop, you could sell them a bit of something, attachment sales on there. You'd go and spend time with them. If it was something menial, like a hard drive or a keyboard and mouse, you'd basically, unless they really come and ask you for help, you let people sort themselves out, you put it through. So he goes, I'm looking for network drives and hard drives. So I went, they're over there. And I was literally just going, yeah, they're over there, mate, like I usually would. But again, something told me, it's like, just go and have a chat with him. You got nothing else. You're doing nothing else. Like, just go and have a chat to him, like, and just help him out. Because I was just bored. But something told me in the back of my head, just go and have a chat with him, a conversation. So I was like, right. So I went over. And obviously,
call that a download, guys. A download.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Right, okay. I'm learning all the...
you already do that.
Again, it's the parlance, that, isn't it? I think that's what it's called. I might be really wrong with that. But yeah, so he... and obviously as well, like when you see Leigh, like he's...
Yeah, it's not approachable.
But he just... But how he is just doesn't match the look in some senses, does it? Do you know what I mean? It's mad. So yeah, I was just like, yeah, fuck it, go and chat to the guy, why not? So I went over and we was talking, he's asking me loads of questions about this stuff. But you know how technically it is. He probably knew more about it than I did, you know what I mean? I'm just going, yeah, but I knew like bits and bats. And then he asked where something else was. And then something just told me, I was going through my sales thing of that, it's just like, that's what you're using it for. That's the sort of way I asked him. It's for my business. Right, okay, what business have you got? So I was going through the thing of trying to recommend him a product, right? And he goes, I've got a creative agency. I went, all right, no way, like in Bolton. He's like, yeah, on Cholney Road. And I was like, fuck off. I was like, I live literally up the road from there. And then I said, obviously, I'm looking for a bit as like an internship or something, like I'm a graphic designer, my partner does that, he does branding and all the rest of it. He said, you have to come in and see. And he was telling us, because this was when, so your office was like the movie room. Yeah. So that's what he was buying it for. He's like, yeah, that's good. And he was telling me about the movie room. So I was like, that sounds really cool. And obviously where it's on Cholney Road, I was like, cool. So yeah, you have to come down and have a look. He said, I'll give you my email. And then we kept on chatting for another 20 minutes. And I said, have you got your email? He goes, here's my email. He goes, you can have my number as well. So he gives me his number. And that was it. Then obviously he left, thinking, I think I texted him that night when I got home. I was like, I'd love to come down and have a look around and all the rest of it. And then he got ill, didn't he? He was like off here for quite a bit. He had like the flu or something, and he was obviously billware, whatever it was. And I couldn't get in for ages because it was about a month. And then when I finally did get in, this is where you started the vicious rumour actually that I turned up in a suit. And he was telling everybody about. Yeah. It's like Gaz turned up in a suit. I was like,
you did though.
I didn't.
You did. You was really, really smart.
I was smart.
I was like, fucking hell, this guy's keen.
No, it wasn't a suit.
Right, so was it?
I'm gonna put the record straight now, right, from this vicious rumour, right? So I was going out on a day session in Manchester, right, with some of the lads at the time. It was Good Friday, on 2015. So obviously you look at whatever that day it was, but it was April time, right? And that was the day because I was going to Manchester, but was going out I was meeting the pub at like 12ish or something. And then Lee was like, yeah, come in here for, I think it was like 10. So I got up and I got ready to go out because I came in and I went straight out to the pub. So I think I had a shirt on, but it was like a going out shirt, jeans, some like desert boots and whatever. And then I had a jumper over the shirt. That's what I was wearing. So it was like smart casual, do you know what I mean? But it was like...
You sure you didn't have a blazer on?
No, I didn't have a blazer. That was when we went to Hale. That's the photo of us.
Right, mate.
And you made me put the blazer on actually because you used to wear the blazers back then.
Yeah.
You had the rack of blazers in what's Will's office now. Like, wasn't
it?
Yeah, that wasn't even your office back then. It was the think tank, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But you had the rack of blazers and that snapback with a B on the front of it. Always reminded me of Julio Bashmore. Oh baby, oh baby. That's Juno 7 was it called?
So you came in looking smart with your portfolio.
No, I didn't come in with a portfolio. So I came in the first time. I came in just to meet you, and I was a bit like going, "Oh shit, should I bring my portfolio?"
What did we talk about?
I can't remember. All I remember is I came in, and I sat where Shan sits now. So I sat across from you because you and Lee used to sit there, and I sat across from you, and you just chatting to us. Can't even remember what we were talking about now. You was just talking to me. And then I do remember the only thing I remember from that conversation specifically, right, is you asked me something and I can't remember what it was. And I said, I don't think I'm the best designer in the world, but I'm definitely not the worst one either. I said, I just want someone to come where I can learn and get better.
Nice
and that's
pitch,
literally
Gaz.
what I remember.
That's a nice pitch.
Oh, well, it's a sales.
Like it.
Yeah. So
good attitude. Good attitude, Tim. If he applied himself, he's got a good attitude.
Pretty much, yeah. So I remember just saying that, and like you was like, right, okay, cool. And you was like, well, can you come back with your portfolio? And I was like, yeah, sweet. You said come back next Friday. So I was like, all right, okay, cool. So I did, and then I went away, and I spent the whole week just titivating it. Actually,
getting your portfolio together, you mean?
Well, pretty much, yeah, because I knew what I needed to do, but I'd done some of it, but not all of it.
Yeah.
Just making adjustments. I even drove to Preston to get it all printed because the old Preston print shop was cheap. And like Staples, remember we used to get stuff at Staples, rip-off.
Yeah, rip-off.
So I remember driving over to Preston.
It's gone.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Staples. So I remember driving back over to Preston and getting it all printed and then come back in that Friday. And that's when we were in the think tank and you do your usual thing of going through the portfolio and saying nothing. Just staring at it, flicking through it, and you're like, and I think I said something to break silence. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna break the silence. And I think I said I went, it's not that bad, is it? And you was like, no, I'm just thinking, and you're doing your thing, right? And you went, right, all right. And I thought you was gonna be like, at that point, it's been so quiet. I thought it was gonna be like a crushing, yeah, sorry mate, you're not quite there. And then you just went, all right, come through here. And then you took me into where Betty sits. You're like, this is your desk. That's your car parking space. Come in as much as little as you want. And I was like, okay. And that's where it started.
Well done, it.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about it before. We've never proper laid it out before, have we?
No, but that was
I think I've told you this before. I looked at the Aston Martin brochure. And I was like, oh, this lad's got something. It wasn't. I told you before, didn't I? About you're not a graphic designer.
Yeah.
Which is probably...
That was going back to the thing that you said a minute when you said the uni tutor put his hand on his shoulders and was like, you know good. And I was like, not as you. But it wasn't. We said about this the other day, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was like, I get what you were saying.
Yeah. It's your thought, mate. It's your conceptual, your thought into it. It's more of an art director's, creative director's mind that you've got.
Yeah.
Some people haven't got that, have they? Where, a graphic designer needs that conceptual stuff and I can make that work for you in the real world.
Yeah, I think it's very literal.
Yeah.
Because
they don't teach you creative direction and art direction at college, do they?
Well,
there's no...
No, it's the trade, isn't it, I guess?
The trade,
it's very literal. And I get that, and I 100% understand what you were saying. But for me, I think we had this one was doing a review one year. I love creating the thing. You're fine, you come up with the idea and you're happy passing it off.
Yeah.
And I'm getting there now because obviously it's just how the company's going and obviously the way the process works. But I'd loved coming up with the ideas and, you know, creating it as well. And I don't know if that's a bit egotistical, which is like, oh, look at what I've done. Do you know, a little bit of the time maybe of like, oh,
yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, mate, about that mix that you've got about having this really nice conceptual mind, but you're also really good at the doing side of what those two worlds don't really collide so much for me. That's what makes you a really, really good creative.
Yeah, I think that's what, like, it's funny, wasn't it? It was like that book by Martin Newman, The Brand Gap, and you told me about it, and I went and bought it, and then I was like reading it, I was like, oh shit, this is me. Like that space between creativity and business implementation, I think, you know, it's just like, because you either get the creatives where you're probably more that side of it, or it's the dreamers, you know, that they want to change the world, you know, like all the rest of it, and it's fueled by passion and thingy and real art stuff, you know, throwing paint at canvas, strokes and all the rest of it. And you get a lot of creatives go too far that way, I feel. And then you get the business heads who look at a spreadsheet and be immaculate, but can't connect with people. And I feel like it's that the middle ground which I occupy quite well, which I found is probably my niche, I think.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
As you get into the industry and you work here and you do it, and you know, I think that's where I sit. But it's weird. It's like when I'm reading the book, I'm going, shit, this is stuff I've already done. It's sort of like going back to what I said about the tutor thing. It's like that's what I discovered on my own, realistically. And then I
think that's I think that's what's good about having me hiring. It's like I don't know fuck all. So it's like you've still got to figure it out for yourself. So you can't come to me and all I can teach is like I felt it in the moment or fucking universe or what I feel, you know, it's like you've, you know, helped us develop the branding document, you know. I've kind of felt it and I know that things feel right, and you know when you've done a logo I'm like, fucking hell guys, you fucking smashed that, mate. It's everything that we talked about.
Yeah, I think even that's only been in the last 48 months maybe the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, they're really defining it.
Yeah, where it's like, where it's just before that, like I understood it and I could do the stuff, but it wasn't as deep, it wasn't as well thought out, it wasn't as, you know, like, oh, we're going to take this and now, like, okay, cool, that's the concept, that's the purpose behind it. We get the conceptual lots, then we crystallise that in a logo and then expanding that into a visual identity and all the rest of it. Like, I think where we're at now is like really good. But again, ironically, do you know when we was talking before and I said about when I was in the last 6 months of university, it just clicked. Yeah. That's happened to me here in a branding space within the last 3 years. You know what I mean? Last 3-4 years, whatever it is. Yeah. And it's weird.
I think it was for me was maybe the Sylvian Care. That I noticed the shift in you.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's just emotionally got this.
Yeah.
You have to be emotionally available to work on brands, and there was something in you that connected. I mean, it's not the most sexist or what's it having, you know, doing care, is it? But there was something, a deeper understanding and a deeper level that I was like, oh shit, this guy's just, I think he's like just gone past me.
The thing is, I think conceptually, I think your ideas are miles better than mine, I'd say, in terms of coming up with stuff just out of nothing.
I think they're just different, aren't they? Yeah. Mate, I think. I don't, you know, we always say that about being the best or better. I don't think there's anything.
I think, maybe say it a different way then, I think.
Because when it comes to designing, you are like far superior to me.
But what I will say is, I think, but this is what it is, and you know, you just said it before about the graphic designer, they need a trail to follow, they need a path. Like, you're better at me at looking at a blank canvas and going, this is what we need to do with it, I think, and establishing a direction. You're better than me at that, 100%. But then I feel like I'm probably more well-rounded in terms of when you give me a direction, then I'll probably produce a better end output than you will. Not necessarily based on skill set, I think just probably your approach to it is you get a bit bored of it, don't you? You want to dream about the next thing then, do you know what I mean? Whereas I'm a bit more meticulous and a bit more, I'm going to see this through because I want to produce this thing, you know? And I think I look back at just everything we've done this year as like, everything's just been nailed on, hasn't it?
Yeah, like...
Just like really unique and just perfect for this thing.
I just think we're just proud of our work, aren't we? And obviously, you know, me and you working together over the years and stuff like fucking the stuff that we're doing, you know. Shout out to everybody else as well who's working on it, but it's like me and you when we're up there for an hour like some of the shit they come up with is just like, it's like, what the fuck are you two on about?
Well, that's the thing is, but I think you blink and it's been 10 years, you know what I mean? Like that stuff we were talking about, then we're talking about 2015.
An overnight success in 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean?
You're doing well, aren't you?
And exactly. But that's the thing, and we went, you got to go through all that, aren't you? And it wasn't like we were doing anything wrong back then. You know, I'm not making it the work was shit back then. The work was decent. It's always been decent, you know what I mean? I just think we understand it more now, and we've just got to a point of like, because that's another thing, is like, what do you deliver? You know what I mean? Because you're talking audiences and things. It's like we were working with at the beginning, a lot lower end clients, wasn't it? You know what I mean? So what they needed to get to market and to get selling and marketing themselves was a lot less than the people we work with now, you know? So I don't think it's just a case of, oh, we've cracked the code after 7-8 years, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's an evolutionary journey, isn't it, of going, well, what we need to deliver back then was right, but then it gets to a point where it's not all right anymore, and then you evolve at that point. So
you've got to evolve with the times that are going on outside, haven't you?
You got to hit milestones as well, you know? It's like, for example, we get more established, we get more clients, you get bigger clients, and then your offering and your delivery has to change to meet their needs, you know? I mean, obviously you can go to a point where, no, we're not going to deal with that. But I think branding's one of those very fluid disciplines, isn't it? Where you can do it all. It's just about delivering it for a price point, I think. But going back to what you were saying again about, you were talking about the universe, and I'll go back onto this, or everything happens for a reason. That was another funny thing, is when I first come here, I did the designer thing, and I think within 2 weeks, you said to me, it's like, you're not a designer, you're an art director. I always remember that. And the funny thing is, when you said they don't teach art direction, whatever it was. So when I went to university, I think I've told you this story as well, is when you apply, you have generally like 99% of courses. Well, this is where it was back in the day. UCAS, I think it was called, when I went to university. So you had a Route A and a Route B. Route A was all your general courses. 99% of the populace went through Route A, I believe. So if you was doing economics or finance or business, whatever, you basically, the system was, you had 5 choices, you applied to the 5 universities, no preference, so you just apply, and it's just like, Gaz has applied to you, what do you, for him to get a place in your course, what does he need to get at A level? And they'll go, he needs an A, B, B. And obviously the more prestigious or the better quality the university, the higher the entry requirement is, right? But because you was a creative doing graphic design, well, this is what we was told him at the time, you had to go through Route B, which was you only got 3 choices, and the choices were in preference order. So like my university, if I applied 3rd, would know I applied to 3rd. So you really only got one swing at the bat of one decent university. So you had to go like, oh, you the one you really want to go to, you back up, and then your backup's back up, you know. And the reason they said about it is because it give you longer to finish your portfolio and all this. But I thought it was bullshit. I was like, well, surely it shouldn't be preference ordered. I don't know why they did it. Someone will probably know, and they might say this is the reason they did it, but it just didn't seem very fair that everyone else got five choices in the first place, but none prioritised, versus 3 with a preference. So my first one was Leeds Met. That's where I wanted to go. So I applied to the Leeds Met graphic design course, but it's a good course.
So your kids at the time?
He went to Leeds Met, yeah, but he did architecture.
Right, yeah.
But it just so happened that, you went to Leeds, mate. I loved Leeds as a city anyways, because I used to go and visit my brother there, so it was like really cool. And obviously my brother went there, and I looked up to my brother quite a bit, so I was like, oh, this would be cool. But my graphics tutor at college was like, you need to go to Leeds Met and do graphic design, because it's like a really good course. So that's just what I went off at the time. I was like, 17 years old? Maybe 18, and they was like, yeah, do you know, you need to go there. So I applied, went, and they used to have foundation courses at the time where it give you the necessary experience to get into university or whatever. And I went, took my portfolio, and the guy was like, it's not really like the right quality to get on our course. You need to do a foundation year. But because you've put us as your first choice, we want to give you an interview for our sister course that's starting up, Design and Art Direction. So I was like, okay, cool. So your eyes rolled. There you go. That's right. Okay. So I come out of the thing here. I went with a friend because we basically had our interviews at the same time, like half an hour apart. So we went on the train together and went for the same course. And I think she got the same knockback basically. So we were chatting, and I was like, what the fuck's Art Direction? I was like someone in a gallery, like telling you where to hang paintings. You know what I mean? I was like, what is this?
It's a mad one, I need to explain what it is. Yeah.
Right. I guess it's a 17, 18-year-old, but I was like, well, I'm here now. Like, I might as well go and have the interview. So goes into this other room. The guy comes in, dead like flamboyant dude, if that's the right. You know the type who's doing it, right? A bit like Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen-esque, you know what I mean?
Hello, Gaz.
Yeah. That were it. And you put this portfolio together, big A2 portfolio, it's lugged it all the way to Leeds. And he goes, right, he points at it. This is probably what you do, to be honest. It does track, to be fair. And he pointed it and he went, I take students onto my course, not portfolios. He goes, and although I appreciate you've put a lot of time and effort into this, he goes, I want to talk to you, I don't want to look at this. He said, I'm going to let you choose one piece of work, show it to me, and then describe why you've shown it to me. And basically, it shows this thing, because my portfolio at the time was fine art and graphic design, because I did both courses. And there was a painting that you had to do, but it was like a textural painting. So you took a photo of yourself, basically. You stuck like rice and pasta and stuff down to it. I can't remember like the reason being, but then you painted over the top of it. But you're supposed to choose a colour palette that reflected your personality. So what? Well, there you go. Yeah.
Great.
Well, yeah, not far off. It was blues.
Why does that not surprise me? Go on.
So it's all like dark shades of blue.
Yeah.
And I think it was more to do with the fact that it's blue's my favourite colour, but also like I'm quite cool individual, analytical, you know, like and level-headed and detached and all the rest of it. So I essentially said that to him, and he's asking me loads of questions. I can't remember the specifics of it. But he's, Bolton. He goes, hopefully see you in September. So I was like, cool. But at the time, I'm like...
You've never told me this story.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. Like, is that an offer or whatever? And then I got home, and later that week, I had an offer.
Wow.
Unconditional. Didn't even need to get any grades. He just was like, yeah, you come in. Like, basically, you've got a position. But this is the kicker. So I was going back to that Route B bullshit. I only got 3 choices of preference order. And the other 5, you could apply. You get 5 offers, and then you choose what you wanted when you got your grades, right? I had to say yes or no before I could even go to the next interview. I was like, how unfair is that? So I was like, so I had an unconditional offer on the table from Leeds, and I was like, oh shit. But it was design and art direction. Didn't really understand the art direction side of things. Obviously, the internet wasn't what it was back now it is back then. And I went and asked my tutor what the art direction was, and he gave me some like uneducated thingy of it, which didn't sound like what I wanted to do. So I was like, fucking hell. So I remember sitting down with like my brother and my dad, and I think at the time I went, what do I do? And they said, well, because I said, I really love to go to Leeds, and I've got an unconditional course offer here, so I could reject that and then get nothing. You know what I mean? Like the UConn could look at me and go, oh yeah, you're decent enough, but you didn't put us first choice by. And I was like, oh, fucking hell, what do I do here? And the advice my dad gave me at the time was just like, go for the course, not the place. And I was like, oh, yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? So, because it was purely graphic design, I said no to Leeds. Yeah. I went and had my interview at UConn. They went through my portfolio, and literally, obviously, I put my graphic design stuff at the beginning. They breezed through that. I was like, got to the fine art stuff. I was like, oh, this is really good. Yeah. But I think it shows that conceptual side and all the rest of it. Yeah. And apparently, that's what they look for in a foundation course when they send you for one. That you get that background, that creative process, that thinking, whatever it is, and they want. You
can teach the technical side, can't you? Illustrator and how to put it together. But like, if you've got that conceptual side, that creative,
that thought process, And I think that's what they were looking for, because that's what they send people to a foundation course. Well, yeah, and like say, I didn't know, though. I just was like, well, it makes sense to me. Graphic design, show graphic design work. And I said the woman blasted through the graphic design stuff, looked really unimpressed. And then she got to the answer, she was like, oh, I love this. And she was like, this is all the stuff that you would see at a foundation course. And then she said, she goes, oh yeah, more than happy. She said, she says, hopefully see you in September. So I was like, oh, here we go. So I'm coming back from Preston, and then again, later that week, I'd got another unconditional offer from Preston. So when I went and picked my A-levels up, I didn't even need to get any A-levels. You go to college to get A-levels to get into university. In the end, I got an unconditional offer.
Mad that, innit?
So I didn't even need to do them. So like all my mates were shitting themselves at what grades they're going to get. And I was like, I'm not really bothered. But yeah, so...
How different do you think it would have been if you'd gone for the design and art direction, looking back now?
God knows. It's weird, because I said the girl who went to my interview with, who was on the course at Bolton, she went and did the design and art direction course. I don't think she's in it anymore. I spoke to her for years, but I don't know. You don't know, do you? Because again, like when I say I'm a year out, the reason I'm a year out is, like I was talking about before, is like it wasn't really clicking. And I was going into my third year going, like, it's make or break year, this, because you didn't get marked the first 2 years. Everything, your grade came from your third year. So I was like, big time this now, like, and I still wasn't there. So the reason why I took the year out was like, because I knew I'd go and have to work some like menial job that I wouldn't enjoy, but it'd teach me the value of what I had, I guess, you know, so that's why I did it. And my dad, like I said, go back to that at the time, he was fuming when I told him I took a year out, because he thought, and I was just going to go and work for a year, because he thought I wasn't going to go back. Yeah. So obviously all he seen was me throwing all my hard work down the drain. And he had a big, like I say, a big barney then. Lasted like a week or 2 weeks, or whatever it was. Non-speaking. But I always knew, it's weird, I always knew I was going to go back and do it. So, yeah, I just took the year out, and that's what I did. I went back and I was up for it. But even then, first couple of months, I'd say before the Christmas break and that third year, I was still finding my feet. And it's when I come back that thinking, I was like, no, I get it now. That's when I started doing the Aston Martin stuff and got a real thingy for it.
Yeah, I think you did obviously, you know, your paths are laid out for you and stuff like that. I think you'd be a different person who did that design and art direction. Probably. You've learned that being here, the design and art direction, but you've kind of learned that on your own terms, haven't you? Yeah. Which is what needs to be done for you, is you learn it on your own terms, not being taught by somebody else.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think that's where you excel at it, mate. It's you've got such a lovely way of looking at things, but you've got to do it your way, not being told. I can tell you a certain thing, but like, I get what you're saying, Tim, but this is how I'm going to do it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's fair. You know, it comes back to, we talk about this a lot, don't we, about your integrity and stuff. It's solid, innit? And you don't listen to other people, you're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How have you done that? I know we talked about how, is that just within you? That fairness, that integrity, no, I'm not going to do that, that's not right.
I think, do you know, I've thought about this a lot, and I think I was having this conversation the other day, actually, but like, when I was a kid, I think I was to talk about it in the studio. When I was a kid, I was tiny. Like, if you had a run to the litter. Yeah. I mean, I'm quite young anyways. It was my birthday yesterday. Like, I'm 27th of August, like, really super late in the calendar. So when I went to school, like, I had literally been 4 for a week, whereas the kids turning 5, you know, in my year when I went. I didn't even go to nursery because there was that, like, tight of a time frame.
Were you bullied because of it?
No, I wasn't bullied, but I think I was lucky, because when I was at primary school, my best friend at the time, he was like one of the oldest at school, and it was almost like a little brother. He used to look out for me, I guess. But you know, you watch like an American movie and you have like the jock. Yeah. But not the jock as in like
not
the
like
guys.
Lenny and George from Mice and Men.
No, not like that. No, because this is. I mean, not like a jock as in like, you know, like the thingy. But do you know, you just get the guy who's like really intelligent. Yeah. Good at every sport. Like, that was my mate at primary school. Like, he was on every team. He was really clever, do you know what I mean? But he just like, I don't even know we become friends with, thinking about it now, I don't even know. But like, he just used to look out for me quite a bit. But I've always got on with people anyways. But I wasn't bullied. I think people obviously tried, but I've always just been that thing. And my mum's very similar thinking about this, is like, because she's like tiny and all the rest of it. But we've always got quite, stuck up for ourselves, got quite big.
Play with words.
Yeah. But for me, it was more of a realisation of, like, I think it's come more from like playing football and stuff like that. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not very good at football, but I always enjoyed playing football. But physicality wise, non-existent. Everyone was bigger and stronger than me, so they just knocked me around and all that, and it frustrated me at first, because there's nothing I could do about it. But that was exactly what it was. I looked at the situation, I was like, well, you can't do anything about it. And this is probably my outlook on everything. It's like, you can't do nothing about it, but so do the stuff that you do, something, or look at something you can affect, you know. So I was like, well, what can I do that they can't do? I can be faster than them. I can be trickier than them. I can be more skillful than all the rest of that. So I sort of like looked at it like that, and I always just put in my own head, it was like, well, you know, you're never going to be the biggest or the strongest, but what you can do is you can be more technically gifted. Yeah. You can have a better technique. You can do all this sort of stuff. And that probably comes back to the video game sort of thing as well. Do you know what I mean? Because again, back then, like obviously, I mean, it's different nowadays, but it was quite physical, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Sport based and all that, competition. It was like none of that. When it comes to video games, it's about how good your reflex are, reactions, how well you know the game, and all the rest of it. That's probably why played a lot of video games as well. But I think going back to the original question, I forgot a little bit now. But
it's the fairness bit of it, mate. Like, where's the fairness of doing the right thing and always sticking up for yourself and sticking up for other people who are being wronged? And not going with the crowd.
I think looking at that, again, coming back around to what I was saying there, is just looking at the situation and having that thing of going, what's right here, or what can you do about it? You know what I mean? And I've just always had that thing, I think, of just when you sort of analyse yourself on that level, there's nothing really anyone can say to you, do you know, that can offend you or upset you, do you know what I mean? Because you've already done it to yourself, I guess. Like, that's all the way I did it. So I brought myself down to almost build yourself back up, you know what I mean? And just be all right with the stuff you can't do, you know. But then focus on the things you can do. Yeah. But then I think from that as well is just looking at situations. That's how I always do it. I look at it and I go, well, realistically, is that fair? You know?
Yeah.
Because I'm all for that. Like, if someone's stronger or faster than them, that's cool. Like, should we penalise that person for being better? No. It's about being realistic, isn't it, in the situation? I think that's where it breeds from, if that makes any sense. It might be a bit of a leap, but, you know, just looking at a situation just as it is, not dressing up and just going, right, okay, this is where we're at. Yeah. How do we move on? How do we get to where we want to be? You know,
yeah, I do appreciate you for being like that. You know what I mean? You've pulled me up a few times for not doing the right thing and not keeping it. You know what I mean? In the moment, like, emotions get the better of me. You know what I'm like? And you go, Tim, I think you're a bit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just a nice way of looking at things that you're fair, because people do get you wrong, don't they? They do get you wrong because you will call out the. Yeah, it's not the way you deliver it, I suppose. I suppose like when you were young,
it used to be
a bit more opinionated, would I say, that you kind of get your opinions across. Well, you deliver it in a certain way, don't you, that people go, fucking hell.
Yeah. I think I had the thing then, going back around, like the whole thing I've just gone over, it was like to land that last question, but it was, you was asking about the fairness thing, wasn't you?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's gone. But yeah.
It's the... You know, you come round to the sort of the Japanese philosophy of doing the right thing and the fairness and respect. You know, you've got that within you. There's like a core thing within you that I'm like, where the fuck does he get this from? Because I weren't like that. I was just out for myself, and like if somebody was laughing at someone else, I'd jump on it and go, because I didn't want to be seen as the fucking guy you...
I mean, to be fair, you know, like we're making it like sort of like a white knight here, and it wasn't, you know, I still did that, you know, I still took the mickey out of people and stuff like that, but there was a level to it.
There's a line. There's a line.
Yeah. Do you know, I've always been like, you know, you do stuff, don't you? And as you're growing up, you get involved in that sort of stuff. And in the moment, you might not stop it. You know, you might think it, but then you'll feel really shit afterwards of going, fucking hell, actually, that was really tight. That maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have stepped in. Maybe I should have stuck up for that person. But I think, yeah, coming back round to that, what I was saying about dressing myself down almost and understanding, you know, where I was at and what I was capable of. When you do that, when I was saying about building yourself back up then, when it comes to peer pressure, that's probably the biggest thing you deal with as a kid, right?
Yeah.
It's smoking or drinking or drugs.
Yeah.
Like, when someone come up to me and like say they go to you, because they'll go, oh, try this, right? And you go, and people go, they'll be scared of what the people think of them or what they say, right? And this is where it comes back to. So they'll be like, yeah, because I want to look cool, or I don't want to think, or I don't want them to call me.
Yeah.
But because I've gone through that mental process of having to look at myself very objectively, I guess, in terms of like who I was and how I was, you know, I wasn't asked about what someone would say to me. Oh, well, you know, whatever the insult would be. I'm like, cool. Wasn't scared of what people would say because I'd already said it to myself, you know what I mean? So,
yeah. I'd be the one handing you drugs going, Gaz, try this. You'd be like, no, like, fuck you, Gaz.
It was literally all my mates.
Be in my gang or not?
Listen, like, a lot of my mates growing up, every one of them would experiment, do stuff like that. Never smoked in my life. Never touched a cigarette. Just doesn't interest me. You know, it just was like, but it was like a thing. You got to secondary school and people start smoking in the cool kids. Like I say, all my mates did it. I've had access to all the shit, but I've always just sort of gone, no, you know. Just because I didn't believe in it, like, and I just don't think, like, you know, I just look at it and I mean, smoking, but I just go, well, if you believe what people tell you, it's not good for you, you know. It's just, you get addicted to it, all the rest of it. There's no benefit. I personally think, you know, the smell puts me off.
You know what I mean? It's just how your brain works. I'm just like, it looks cool though, Gaz. It looks sick.
But I don't. But the thing
smells good as well. You like.
Oh, I hate the smell of it. But I don't think it looks cool. I don't think it, or anything like that. I don't get that from it. But on the flip side, though, it's like, I'll look at a comic book and I'm like, fuck me, that's cool as shit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I get what you're saying. Like, I am drawn in by that sort of stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. The thing is, though, and this is, again, you talk Japanese stuff, there's the thing is, I can't remember what it is in Japanese, but it's the nail that sticks out gets hammered. So when I was at school, even to, like, being, like, into my 20s, like, I've always been super passionate about games and, like, comic books and all that sort of stuff. Generally, typically nerdy sort of shit. Yeah. But I would never go, like, run around, like, telling everybody about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, like, Final Fantasy. That was the nerd game. Do you know what I mean? If you was playing Final Fantasy, you was a proper Japanese, like, nerd. Like, especially in the video games there back in the day, it was all FIFA and Grand Theft Auto and all this. I used to play art stuff, but I won't be the first thing I run through the door. Someone goes, "Did you play a PlayStation?" I'd be like, "Yeah," and they're like, "What'd you play?" I'm like, FIFA. You start off and then you build yourself up. So I was always, like, situationally aware, I think, of, like, the things, and just, like, smart, I guess, with what I told people and what I didn't tell people. But I mean, I did think as well, because I don't care anymore, but I think you do miss out on opportunities as well by not totally being yourself and following your stuff. That's something I learned, because I did suppress a lot of the stuff, like, to be cool or to anger with certain people and all the rest of it, and you start regretting it because you're like, it wasn't worth it at all, was it? You know what I mean? So I went for all that. It's not like I never struggle with that. I think everyone does.
But you've had a more strong identity than most, mate. Would you say that?
It's objective, isn't it? Like, I think it's always hard to look at yourself and go, yeah, because you could ask me, what I'm really good at, and I'd struggle to tell you. But then it's the same with anybody, though. But then if I describe what you're really good at, you describe what I'm really good at, it's easy, because it's how you look at yourself, I guess, and people and thingy. But yeah, I've always been quite strong-headed, I'd guess. But like I was saying before, it was always, like, when I was younger, I was bad with it in terms of
there was no leeway. There was no.
Yeah, it was, and
nobody else had another opinion on it.
Yeah, it was like I seen the world from a perspective, and that was it. There was no change in it, or very little leeway in it. But I always was respectful as well, I think, to a point. It was all like, if someone give me a bit of shit, I'd give it back. But, like, I've always had that mentality as well, as, like, just treat people like you want to be treated yourself. And even, like, I remember this, like, when I had my first job, like, there was a manager the general manager, the one who was in charge of the whole store, like, not many people got on with her or liked her because she was a bit arsey, she was a bit blunt and all the rest of it. But nobody talked to her like a human being. They treated her like a general manager. So she treated them like staff. Whereas, and this wasn't like, I didn't realise I was doing it until after the fact, where someone asked me, how does she really like you, or how did you get on with her? And then you sort of objectively look at it and you go, right, okay, this is why. And it just turned out that I treated her how she treated me, I guess. Whereas everyone else was treating her like something else, and so we got on. She respected me, and I was the same. I am with a lot of people. She was blunt and honest to everyone, where everyone else was like shit and shut up. Or I'll be blunt and honest back with her, but she respected that, and develop a relationship from that. And yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I just think I've always had that thing, though. No matter if you're like CEO or you're the cleaner or whatever, as the intern, like, you just treat everyone the same. We're all human beings. We're not better than anybody else, are we? Our opinions being the same. Yeah. All our shit stinks. Like, do you know what I mean? You'd hope everyone's just trying to do the best they can do. And,
how have you found it at the sort of position of being head of creative now, where you've got like 5 people underneath you who kind of rely on you for guidance and stuff like that? Has that been a difficult thing? Has it been a transition?
Not really. Again, it's funny because you talk about the path thing, going back to the spirituality thing, and it's like it's almost like they call it fate, I guess. The path's laid out in front of you, and I don't necessarily believe in that, but like I said, I do believe it happens for a reason. But up until now, and maybe I'm just living too safe, I've never really had anything put in front of me going, I can't really do that. Everything's felt really natural in terms of progression. I've never looked at anything and gone, shit, like, I don't really want to do that. Oh, that's the thing. I've always just known it's like a next step, And I've never really got to the point where I'm overfaced yet. But I challenge myself, don't I? If you put a challenge in front of me,
you do that.
I'm the kind of person who'll go, yeah, fuck it, I'll smash that. I'll have a go at it. From, like you say, leading people, no. Even back down to copywriting when we first started here. And I was like, no, fuck it, I'll have a crack at that. Video editing, A lot of these probably in-house services, they blew my trumpet too much. Probably pioneered a little bit realistically because it was all outsourced shit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Until I was like, Tim, what are you paying for that for? Let me have a crack at it for you. And you were like, I remember you like looking at me going, fuck you, like, you was happy for me to do it, but I don't think even you believed I could deliver on it. I didn't even know if I could myself, to be honest with you. But then I had a go at it, and I was like, That's all I learned is, like Ben, when he used to do the copywriting for us, really good. I'd open up his stuff, and I'd read how he was doing it. Yeah. And I was nowhere near as good as Ben. Now I'm not, honestly, he's a copywriter. Still nowhere near as good as Ben. But what I did is I took where I was and I looked at where he was and I go, fucking hell, that's where I want to be. And that's how I've always worked. I look at where I want to get to and go, how do I get there? And just make the little steps to get there then. So
copywriting's good, mate, isn't it?
Well, I'd just take his copy and I'd look at...
but not now.
No, not anymore, but I'd deconstruct his copy, figure out the devices he was using, how he was constructing sentences, the words he was using, the pace, all that sort of stuff. But you can do that in anything. You see a fantastic logo, you take the night swoosh, look at it, understand it. Why does it work? And then look at your projects and go, what am I doing? Oh, I'm doing this. And implement the shit that you've decompressed out of that into your own thing. And you'll never be as good as that straight away, but, you get there. Yeah, I've always just been that sort of just like, give me a challenge and I'll always go for it.
The copy's good, mate, and it's a different thing.
Beast,
the way it's a different beast, that, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm really
writing for tone of voice, writing for values, making it so it's not mechanical and it's like emotion led, and what does that value mean to that business, not somebody else. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how you've done it, but you've seemed to. I think it was like I said, it's a Sylvian Care one. I read it and I was like, whoa, what the fuck's happened to Gaz? I felt like I was reading something different.
Yeah. I don't know if that project stands out to me specifically. Maybe it does, but
maybe not you, but me. It was definitely me, because I read it and I'm just like, oh my fucking god.
Yeah.
I said like, I don't need to do anything anymore. Maybe, but it was like, wow, amazing.
Yeah, I don't know the copywriting thing. I think well, as a blanket sort of reply, I think every creator should work on the copywriting, because it's the last thing on anyone's list, right? Yeah. It was for me.
To be honest, it's probably the first thing you should be doing.
It is. In the process, 100% it is, because you use it everywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, we're guilty of being a bit multifaceted within a small agency where we've got to wear 4 or 5 different hats, right? But I mean, it's fantastic because it's only what a freelancer does, or smaller creative setups. It's good to have a couple of strings to your bow, I think. But when I started it, I hated it at first, because I was never good at English. Like, if the core subjects at school, like English, maths, science, I'd do maths and science all day long, because there's a right and wrong answer with it, which sounds really weird for the fucking industry that I'm in, but this is that, again, this gap that I occupy, I guess, is I've got that creativity, but I've got to make it make sense as well, and ground it in logic for people to understand.
Turn back to the box. Yeah.
So, like, maths, love maths, always been really good at maths, probably my best subject, because there's rules and regulation and formulas and ways of working things out.
Bad times, guys. Go on.
Yeah.
Move on.
And then science is, again, it's just essentially, it's interesting, isn't it, science, but it's just, again, it's facts, realistically, you learn it. In English, I never really got what they were trying to teach me, and that's not a reflection on the teacher. I don't think it's just me as a mind, how it works. It's just I didn't really get what it was until I started in the creative field. But I think the reason for that is because I'm not writing like proper English, or like writing whatever you would call it, like proper English literacy or whatever it is, where it's right and wrong. I'm writing like a person's talking. So you bend the rules, you can use slang. Yeah. It doesn't have to be perfect, whatever that is, within the highest critique level or whatever it is. It's just, and that builds into the brand. That's what I like about it. You can get creative with it. Yeah. It influences everything right through.
Right through.
And if you think about it, like, a lot of people don't understand that. It's like, you think, it has to be right or wrong, but they don't understand they can define what right or wrong is. And that's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful, that, isn't
it? Yeah. And that's what I think is so cool. I've always loved creativity. I think when more I think about it, is I've always been a creative person. It was very much drawing, artwork, manga, anime style, superhero comic booky. That's always the stuff that game characters used to draw all the time as a kid. Brother is a fantastic drawer. There's guys get it from them. Apparently my mum, I've never seen her draw anything really, but she tells me all day she's artistic. And brother's fantastic. He's miles better than I am. But obviously got the cast off stuff and I used to draw all the time as a kid. But even like I said, the movies that I watch, it's always sci-fi, fantasy, gaming. I like that creativity of looking at something and just creating it, but building that world how you want to build it. You know what I mean? Where this is the person, this is the language to speak, all that. I find it really interesting, you know. And essentially what we do with a brand, isn't it? You build that world for a community and you're like, you know, this is what's on the banners, you know. This is how we talk, it's how we greet people, you know.
Beautiful
what I mean?
book, mate.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever said that before, you know.
No, I think...
I actually really like that. Yeah. You're building that world for that community. What's on the banners, what's on the advertising, what's on the things, so everybody's... Come on.
Well, I think you just go there. I think I don't know if it's just a thing because a lot of stuff is medieval, right? You know, but you think of Game of Thrones, you know, you're building
you for house for that house.
Stark, right? That's your brand, isn't it? Yeah. You got the direwolf on there. You know, they all talk very northern there. You got the Lannisters. Yeah, they're a different brand, and it's all like that. They all coexist within. You know, and the world could be a brand, couldn't it? But you know, you break it down, and look at things like that. I think that's it. We would talk about it. They're wrestlers. Just the best thing ever is because you've got, and it's the best parallel you can draw because the wrestler is the brand, it's the persona, right? The you know, the Hulk Hogan. Yeah. It's who Hulk Hogan in real life isn't like that. Maybe he's very similar because sometimes you do get it. Yeah. Other times are completely different personas, aren't they? Because it's not about the person behind it or the people behind it. It's about the people you want to connect with and how they connect with it. But you think of a wrestler. It's how they talk. It's the music they walk out to. Yeah, the colours they It's got. The colours. It's the outfit they wear. Yeah. All of it. It's brand 101, that, isn't it? 101. It's creating that character, you know. Yeah. And then the best thing about it as well, you got babyface and heels, haven't you? Yeah. And you need good and bad guys. And that's the thing that people understand. We've always got to be good. We've got to please everybody. Our target market is everybody. I'm like, is it? Yeah. But you think of the heels. Yeah. Triple H is fucking fall in love with the most. Well, you know, the bad guys. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah. He's the best example of the guy who's the bad guy became the good guy. Yeah. Because he was anti-establishment, wasn't he? You know, and he was fuck everybody. Well, yeah. People don't look at it like that. You know, I think it's, and I always say this to the guys now when we're doing stuff, it's like, it doesn't have to be positive all the time. Yeah. You think about a personality, about a person. No one's happy all the time. Yeah. We have times where we lose our head. We have times we get frustrated and we get angry. It's a brand, you know what I mean? People buy from people, don't they? You connect with people because you look at them and go, actually, they're not perfect. They're more like me. And that's where I think the world's changing, you know. I was actually thinking about this before. Like, so I was doing the document that we're working on this afternoon. And he was like, you know, back in the day, like, obviously, you still don't want to be doing spelling mistakes or making mistakes. But I think it's a lot more forgivable now. Yeah. Like, even when I started, back then it's like, fucking hell, you make a mistake and it was a big deal. Yeah. People get their arse chewed. You know, I used to do it on purpose, you know, and put it on social media, and then fucking the spelling police came up. You have to do it. I'm just like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, yeah. What's I got to do with this? Yeah, and then nowadays it's just and I think it's the emergence of, you know, mental health becoming to the forefront and all that sort of stuff, where the world's relaxed a little bit in terms of that formality and thing. That's another conversation, though. I won't get into that. I'll be getting cancelled. Yeah, it's coming along. I mean, I said to you, Lee Kill fucking still keeps going on about us coming from a creative agency with branding agency. I do believe we've always been a branding agency. We have got other services, but branding agency in the first and foremost. People don't understand branding. Yeah. You know, I see a lot of people putting out that, have you seen this brand that we've done for? I'm just like, you can't even fucking see it. You know, how many times you see on Dragons Den or real like your branding, I'm like, you can't even fucking see the branding. You can see the visual identity of the branding, but everybody gets confused, don't they? Yeah. And it's us trying to sell it into other people. Yeah. It's like, so fucking hard. That's the hardest thing I think we've ever had to sort of
Yeah, Gaz is going to create a world for you, right, where your community is going to be wearing the banners and stuff like. I'm just like, how the fuck do you sell that in?
Well, the thing for me is, and I think the biggest challenge we've had in the 9 on 10 years that I've been here is trying to ground the concept of what branding is.
Yeah.
And we've not achieved it now. We've still not achieved it.
I think it's impossible because, like, you know, go back to Martin Newby, what is branding? It's reputation. Like, how the fuck do you get that?
Exactly. And I think, don't get me wrong, I think it will come at a time, but I feel like we're still a little ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Where branding is still a buzzword.
Yeah.
But if you was to ask, 20 people in a room what branding is, they'd say logo.
Yeah,
it's not. It's like you say, it's the reputation, it's the feel, isn't it? It's what you stand for. It's all that. Whereas the visual identity is what people get hung up on. It's what you see. How many times do we have it? We go for a brand reveal, and the people who really get it sit there and they read.
You kind of go back to the value
pages.
of what we've written about on the thing. Fucking hell, is that And you like get emotionally attached to a value, and you're like, oh wow, we've got them.
But then the other people, you just like, yeah, to the logo page.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it looks fantastic and everything, and it always does. Don't get me wrong, that still has to be a thing. But like you say, I think it's that direction. It always comes back down to that direction. You've got to define that and ground it for people within that.
Yeah.
Those intangibles, the conceptual. Because otherwise, what else have you got to go off? You go off the literals, don't you? That's why you look at the logo and it's a plumber is 2 spanners. Because that's all they got to go off. You go to the gym, it's a dumbbell. Because they don't do any creative conceptual exploration. It's like, no, what are we trying to achieve? Yeah. We've got the literal thing. Yeah, that's what we do. But why are we doing it? What's the purpose behind it? And then that's why a lot of this stuff, like we did it, the logo I was going through yesterday, and it's like we actually second guess ourselves. The biggest thing I always say is I don't know if this is genius or insanity, because it's so far departed from what the literal thing is. But that makes it unique, it makes it recognisable, it makes it identifiable, because it's so different. But then you always fight a battle going, is it so different that people aren't going to get it?
Yeah.
But I think you can make anything mean anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why Apple is a software company, the technology company. It's a fruit, but no, if I say apple to you, you're going to go, they're the people who make phones.
Yeah.
Not the fruit that everyone eats every day, you know what I mean? Orange.
Yeah.
You're going to think of the old phone network, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you can make anything mean whatever you want it to mean. I think it's just got to be unique, hasn't it?
It's got to mean something to them, hasn't it?
It has, but I think just on a basal level at first, like it's just got to be eye-catching, hasn't it? And it just be different enough to identify.
Of all the jobs that you've done, all the branding jobs, I know it's going to be an hard one, like, what is the one that you look at now and you're like, fucking, I love doing that, or something that's really meant something to you the most? What would that one be?
It's so hard because, like, we got so many different jobs in so many different like areas on different scales as well, because like obviously you always got biggest, so you look at like Athelis, BFA, the one that we started off and like 2 years before the building was even built, with this multi-million-pound gym, dead smart, 100 odd quid a month to be a member there. You go there, you get the massive fucking logo as you're driving up to it. It's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest logo that.
Yeah, you look at that and you go, fucking hell, and like, but it's a bit surreal as well because you go, yeah, I did that,
Yeah.
But then it's the mad ones where it goes to the pub with a hat on and then it's like everyone's going, wise up.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool, that thing, and they go, where did you find about them? I was like, I did the brand. And funnily enough, they pop up on the on the TV there, but it's like, I did the brand, and did the logo. People are like, oh no way, like, so that's a very local level, isn't it? But I don't know, I don't think I could pick one, to be honest, which is really a shithouse answer, isn't it?
Not really. That means like, each one means something a bit different. Like, the Wise Up one's a big one, isn't it? Them two lads they were called Wise Up. Spelled exactly how it is with a hyphen, and there was a guy on top of a cliff, fucking.
It's so literal
that we've kind of made it a lot more than that, and a lot deeper and meaning, and single person in Bolton now knows it, because I remember helping them doing videos and getting the message out there when no one really else was doing videos. Spent a lot of time with them doing that.
I think for me as well is, and it probably comes back around, I guess, full circle to what we were talking about at the beginning is, it's that fast paced in what we do. Like we've literally finished a project. I'm not saying this for the podcast either, just to make it look good. It's like finish a project, and then we're on to the next one straight away. Yeah. And although that you have stuff that goes along, we start marketing it, we build websites off the back of it and all that. Realistically for me, and I'm talking a very personal thing now, is like my workload is generally right, done, packaged, out the way, boom. And we'll do that. How many times a year? Yeah, how many are we going to hit this year? 20, 25, 30? Easy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. A lot of brands that we get through. Yeah. Maybe it's not that many, maybe it's 20, I don't know. We'll have to look at the numbers. Yeah. But we do a lot, right? So you're like in, out. Especially the way we diversify with the team now, where a lot of the team are getting involved on them. But it's not until 6 months later when they have that sign put up, or 12 months later, or 18 months, and then it's what's on your wall upstairs. Is you stop and you look back and you take it in. Then you go, oh shit, yeah, I remember working on that now. So it's weird because, and I think that's the thing as well. Is when we finish a project, it doesn't come alive, like I say, for 6 to 12 months. Because they go, yeah, cool, we're happy with it now. Now they've got to go do their thing and they've got to put it into production and all that. So it's just our crazy idea at that point still, isn't it? Until you see it drive past you in a van and you go, oh no, actually, yeah, okay. That did make it,
Yeah, I did the one, was it yesterday, the day before? How many leads have you got in, Sean, from the route? 60 odd. And I was just like, that's what they first came in for initially, a year ago. Yeah. Right? And we had to look, in order to get them 60 leads, give us a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, because what we're going to do is the rebrand, new website, photography, video, for you to get the 60 leads on. Because if you do that right now with that plaster, you're not going to get 60 leads. We'll just do a video and nobody will get it and you won't get any leads.
And that's the thing, you'll get something. You market something, unless it's fucking awful, like, you will get something from it. But people don't understand. It's the sharpening the axe, isn't it? We always say. You can go chopping at a tree and it might take you 100 swings to get through the tree, but you come step back first sharp and you actually get through it in 3. Yeah. And that's the whole thing with branding, is once you sort that out, you'll guaranteed over the time it'll succeed more, but you'll spend probably half the amount of money you will getting to the same place, because it's emotionally connecting with people, it looks better, it does all these things, the messaging's locked off on it, everything's streamlined and people get it, and it's unique, and it just gets you there so much easier and faster. But obviously, trying to evidence that to somebody is like, how do you quantify it? Yeah. It's like when I was on the stage at the BFA, wasn't it? And you're getting the questions thrown at you. It's like, what's my return on investment? And I'm like, what do you want to achieve? It's not about making money, is it? I know a very business format, right? So that's going to be the word on everyone's lips, but people, you see it more nowadays, I think, is people chase money, don't they? That's 95% of the world, right? It's like chasing money. But what happens when they get there? And I think you see that as a lot of business people nowadays, the millionaires. They hand that off to someone, let them run it, and then they start doing their own work on the side then. Because they want to have an impact outside of that, don't they? And that could be a goal. I just want to reach 1 million people, And I say a lot of it is money and all the rest, and I get it. Money's necessary, isn't it? But it's not the be all and end all. And I don't believe, anyways. And I don't think there's anything wrong with chasing money either. All power to you. I think people need to do what they want to do, but it's just not my way of living.
Yeah, I mean that's what I love about doing. When we do the purpose. For me, that's the real heart center of that brand. To understand that purpose and build everything from that. Values, purpose, getting that and building the vision out. You just like, and when it clicks, you're like, fucking hell, I think the logo needs to feel like this. It needs to look like that. You're like, whoa. You know what I mean? It's like the one that did with Fuse, and I got it. I was like, I know the logo needs to look like that, but I don't think, I'm not fucking putting myself, I don't give a shit, that I didn't have the skill set to execute what I meant. Where you got it yesterday, you were like, was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember.
Yesterday.
That you were like, it were there, but it wasn't there what I'd done. And I kind of conceptualised it, and then you took it, and then I would just, mate, it was just like fucking next level shit.
Well, I had it on my phone, and I looked at it again this morning, and I was like, oh, no,
yes. But it's so unique, never stays just like, wow.
Yeah, but I will come back at you with this on that, is it's so much harder when you've got to do it yourself to start with.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Like, for me to walk in, and you'll probably find this with me, vice versa, is you'll call me up and you'll go, right, okay, this is what I've done now. I get the direction with it. And then you'll show me what you want to do. And it's so easy for me, objectively, when you stood away from it, when I'm not in my own head, when I'm critiquing your work, to go, I understand exactly what you're trying to do here, but it just needs to be like this. And that's why I can do it in a day and take what you've done and fashion it into where you want it to be. Yeah. Same with you. You probably walk in, look at something of mine and go, cool, it's definitely in the right direction. Even if it's just that little tweak, you go, actually, this needs to run through a little more. You know, it's like where we take an icon and put it into the word map or whatever it is, and it's just that missing piece of the puzzle. Yeah. You know, where I think it's so much easier to do when people have laid the foundations for you and you've got to come in. That's what I say, being like a creative director or a head of creative or whatever you want to refer to it. Yeah. I think it's easier than doing the work yourself, not just for the fact that you don't have to sit there, but I think when someone's already done 10, 20% or conceptualized something to a point, I think it's being able to look at it from that isolated perspective where you can almost look at it a little black and white and be a little bit more like, I see what you're trying to do here, but it's not that, it's this. And I don't know if you're the same with it, that outside perspective, because when you do it yourself, you don't know if it's right or wrong. And it's that self-belief thing, isn't it, to sit there. Sometimes I do it, like, you know, how many times we sat there and I just go, no, I'm sick, I know what this is. And I go away and do it. But a lot of the time, you know, you like I say, you can produce anything. You just got to believe in it. And then you've got to make the client believe in it, right? You know, I think we do that very well. I think that's why our strike rate on success is really high, because of all the foundational stuff we do, the conceptual stuff. Because we don't ask for an opinion.
All the act sharpening.
Exactly, yeah. We don't ask for an opinion when they come in and go, what do you think of this logo? We say, this is your logo, and this is why it's your logo. And you can't argue with that process, because it's come from a direction that started here, that's been very well thought out, and has arrived at a destination. Instead of just showing you the destination, go, what do you think of this? Yeah. You know, it's like literally that, right? I go, Tim, where's France going holiday? France going to Spain? He went, nah. I go, I'll tell you what, we'll do Bali instead. But the reason why we're going to do Bali is because we're going to start off here, we're going to do this trail, we're going to go on this spiritual journey, we're going to do this, and this. And that's why, and you go, sold.
Done. Yeah, love that.
Yeah. People are always trying to give you the end thing, aren't they? Uncontextualised,
yeah. The reason. What's the reason why? Like, this is the reason it looks like that. I'm like, fucking hell, does it? I love it. I love it even more. Yeah. I liked it, but now I love it.
Exactly. But I think there was a point, I can't remember now, I was trying to circle back around to what you asked as a question there to what we said before about, I think it was a direction or something. I don't know, we've moved on. We've tangented, don't we? This is what happens. We start talking about one thing and then go down.
It's exciting, mate. I get excited working on brands. I always have done. I just, like, you know me, I just get, like you said, I get bored to a point where I'm like, I don't want to. It's not that I don't want to see it through. I don't think I've got the mental capacity to see it through. Where I pass something off onto you, and I'm just like, fucking hell. Then I see it, and I'm like, oh my god, Gaz has fucking like created this thing off this. But I couldn't do it.
I think the best way I can describe this for you, and it's probably will make sense to you, is you go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
You like being in the pain cave, don't you?
Yeah.
Because you are testing yourself.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. And when you're probably in them situations, you're probably not sure if you can do it or you can't. Yeah. But then when you get through the other side of it, that feeling of going,
well done, mate.
Yeah, fuck me, did that, and that was good, and I pushed myself and tested myself, and that's the same for me when it comes to the branding stuff or anything that challenges me. I think that's what I get out of it, but it's mental, you know, and that's why, like, I love that. I've always been mind over body, me, in terms of, I respect the power of the mind more than, you know, physical strength. Because I think a little bit like Scarecrow from Batman, isn't it?
Yeah, going back to little Gaz again, playing football.
Exactly, because I've never had that thing of like, that's why, like, you know, and I was having this we was literally having this conversation yesterday about physicality. And listen, I get cool, go to the gym, looking good, and all the rest of it. But I don't respect that as much personally as solving a problem or perfecting a skill. And that's what I do. I just put myself in the pain cave when I'm doing this, and I'm like, But that crafting process, going through that struggle of going from problem to solution, I love that. And that's why I love doing that. And probably why you're not so much, you like coming up with the fluffy stuff, with the creative stuff, like, oh yeah, do you know, like, let's make this a reality. Yeah. But I love that attritional process of, right, I know where we're starting, I know where I need to finish. I fucking clue what we're going to do in between, but we're going to struggle through it and we're going to get there. And I think that's what I enjoy probably the most about it. It's like how you stay with the fuse thing. Like, I remember opening it up and going, looking at yours, going, sort of knowing what I want. But even then, I've got an idea of what it is, but I have no idea how I'm going to get there. And I had no idea it was going to look like that, but I've got a feel. And that's all I've ever done, is chase the feel of it. I've gone, it's around here. I always say, and it's like an airplane circling the runway. And I feel like that's what I'm going round every time. And every time I'm getting a bit of a clearer photo of what path I'm going to take down there.
It comes to landing.
And so you go, and you land it, and you're like, right, okay, I'm here.
Landed.
Yeah. And you're like, right, yeah, no, this is it. And even then, it's like little tweaks. It'll never be finished, will it? But yeah.
Yeah, it was good that, weren't it, that process yesterday, because I was thinking about it. I've taken that, you've gone, and then you showed me on that thing, and I was like, we're nearly there, we're about a fucking, and then you went up and it was just like a few little things, just like bang.
Yeah, joints.
Like, fuck me, that's sick.
Yeah. That's what I mean, that's what happens all the time, is I always feel like you're like 70, 80% there, and all it takes is a night's sleep or an hour off it or this, and then you look at it again, you come back in a more different mindset of what it is, and you look at things slightly differently. I don't know what that process is called, some psychological expert will probably be able to tell me that, but I used to find that a lot when I was playing computer games when I was a kid. It's like, obviously, internet wasn't a thing, it was big of a thing anyways. The only way you could find out to do stuff is either a walkthrough guide that you bought from the shop or ring one of the hotlines and that thing. But obviously games back in the day, the graphics were really shit. You couldn't see the doorway you had to walk through, whatever it were. I'd spend hours and hours and hours running around the thing, trying to find a thing. You get stuck for months. So I stopped playing the game. And I come back a month, 2 months later. And as soon as I look at it, I go, fucking hell, the door's there. And you just walk through it and you're in the next area and then you go and finish the game. It's that.
What do you think about your thing on not being reliant of other people? That you like to do it on your own and I want to solve this myself. Is that a good thing or is it a bad thing?
I think it's as much as a strength as it is a weakness, if I'm being totally honest. But that's like a sort of a journey I've been on myself recently with the new process of what we're putting and me handing my work off a lot more. And I definitely feel like you can achieve more with more people. But I feel like I think the hardest thing is letting go of your own expectations. I think in that sense, because when you've been working to a level of what you think it needs to be, but then maybe people can't deliver on that, or it takes them longer to deliver on that. I think it's giving people enough room to grow themselves and to develop, while not,
constraining them
at the same time, and taking it off them. That's the easiest thing to do, isn't it? Give me the keyboard and mouse. And it's like it is.
I did it with shout for day, like just give me the fucking mouse.
And it's not the right way to do it, but in certain situations you need to get things done or whatever it is. But I think I don't know. I can't decide whether it's a good or bad thing. I think it's a bit of both. I think I'll always get shit done, no matter what it is. I don't know, the thing is, I don't think, totally, 100%, you can rely on other people. Some point it'll come down to it. Not necessarily the person's fault. Might be busy, might not be aware of the situation, whatever it is. But you can only ever truly rely on yourself, can't you? And I think that if that comes down to it, whether that's really pessimistic or bad way of looking at things, and that's say a very small percentage of the time, but you've also got to be open to letting people help you as well. I think that's different.
Quite a bit of a philosophical approach, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
That,
but it's realism.
Can I trust other people?
Yeah.
Or is it the fact I can't trust other people because I can't truly trust myself?
Maybe, yeah. But I think what it comes down...
If I can trust myself, then I can potentially trust other people then.
Yeah. I think what it comes down to with like anything, it's like calculated risk, isn't it? You know, for example, if I ask you to go to the shop and buy me a can of Coke, I've got a 95% chance you'll go to, well, no, sorry. If I ask you to buy me a can of Coke, there's a 100% chance that you will get someone else to go and buy me a can of Coke, but you'll make it happen, right? That's how you intimidate.
That's different. Yeah.
But my point being is, if I ask you to go and buy me a can of Coke from the shop, because obviously there's a very high percentage chance you'll go and do that for me. If I ask you to dive out of an airplane for me, there's probably less chance of that happening, right? Mm-hmm. Or more so if I ask you to wear a suit, it's probably more thing. Right. But so it's all, I say, calculated risk, or it's just being in a situation, being aware of the likelihood of anything. And this comes back to the mathematical side, the analytical side of like being open to go in. And I guess expectations of going, well, yeah, I think this is fairly reasonable for you to do, and this is fairly unreasonable. Where I think people struggle with the last too much people, which is unrealistic expectations, you know, and then they get let down. And it's like, well, are you really going to get upset about that because you think that, you know, that's getting to delusion, all the rest of it there. But yeah, I think I've had to recently within Ian and our role as you know, I've had to rely on people a lot more. But it's a good thing, you know. I think it's, however pessimistic or if I made it sound before, but you really only trust yourself and all the rest of it. I think, you know, you're relying on yourself, trying to trust yourself.
That's different, that,
yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, you need other people, don't you? Because there's only so much one person can do at the end of the day. You would have, and I found that out probably the same way you found that out. Is the reason why you got a business partner. Is the reason why you took me on. Is the reason why we took everybody else on. Yeah. You get to a point where, you know, and again, you talk about the big business people in the world and stuff. They get to a point where it's only physically their time can achieve them stuff, so they have to bring other people in, you know, because you can get sick, I can get sick, you know. It needs to be bigger than you, doesn't it? Bigger than yourself.
I think so.
That's where the brand comes in. Where everyone aligns and sings off the same sheet. But yeah, I think it's a good thing for me to get things done and to probably educate other people on how to do it and how to how to give a blueprint on how to do things, or to evidence this can be done, or to set a standard or a precedent.
Yeah, I think, you know, to do it Gaz's way, to understand Gaz's way, so they can implement some of that for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, your teachings of, you know, I've told you as much as I can sort of teach, and now you've got your way of doing things. It's like, you know, for the people downstairs, they need that as well.
Yeah, I've always been a firm believer of like, you've got to do it yourself before you can get someone else to do it. You got to get in the trenches and do it yourself before you can ask someone else to do it, you know. And then that's what I've always done, and that's probably leads into that thing of like that self-reliance, I guess, is getting on it, doing it, understanding it. Yeah. Because I feel like my duty then to the person is I have to understand it because I need to support them through their journey of doing it, which is a really weird way of looking at it, because
it's your way of looking at it. It's that comes back to that fairness and that sort of integrity sort of standpoint. It's like not doing something that you can't do yourself. I think there's something really fucking noble about that, you know. It's, you know, we said to you before, it's like, I think we need to redefine our brand values. I think we've moved on, you know, and teamwork should be at the top of it. And we all understand what teamwork means to Tim Marner. Yeah. You know, it's important, isn't it, that we all understand it. We kind of do, you know, but do we really know? Have we ever got it on paper and kind of gone, you know?
Yeah, I think...
What was it, 2-3 years ago that we did it?
Well, even then though, it was loose, wasn't it? I think what it is again, we talk about our product evolving and all the rest of it. Like, we've evolved it for our clients, but not necessarily for ourselves, you know. But it's the last thing you sort of look at, isn't it? Is because you're so busy doing this project, that project, and all the rest of it is to sit down and do it ourselves. But yeah, I think it's
just that question, isn't it? Who am I? Who are we as a business? Who are we? And you need the answers for it.
That's the thing as well, though, is, you know, I spend all day, every day in my working life defining other people's purposes. But it's like, if you ask me what mine was right now, I'd probably be able to articulate it. I'll tell you. I'd have a feeling, and maybe it's just that process. I don't know. My approach to everything has always been, you know, well, recently, anyways. I feel like when we go back to like what the tutors used to say about me and all that is, I think I was just enjoying life at the time. You're floating on the waves of time, you know, just enjoying myself, you know, just doing what I thought was like, right, you know, still trying to do the right thing and educate myself and earn money and work and learn all these life lessons and stuff like that. But I was just enjoying being alive, I guess. And it wasn't until like, you know, start working in the industry and all that, it's like, right, okay, like professionally, like set some goals now, like I'm here. You know, my sort of mantra, I guess, being here was always, I always say this to the people, is like when I came here, when I first come here for the internship or whatever you want to call it at the time, if you would have come to me 6 months after I started and gone, listen, Gaz, appreciate all the work you've done, you know, and you've been belting, but it's just not really working out, not really got time, whatever it would be. And if you would have shook my hand and said, you know, thanks but no thanks, then I would have been like, cool, totally fine with that. I would have gone.
You wouldn't have seen your ass?
No, I don't think so, because
I would have.
Yeah, but
you fucking ungrateful motherfucker.
No.
You spent.
But that's the thing is, this is what I mean is, and I always say this, I think, when we've had people come and go from here in the past, I think the people who came here for themselves, whether it's selfish that sounds, but to work on themselves, to develop themselves, like I did, Will did, you know, Joe did, you know, are the ones that always seem to work out for. The people who come for a job. Yeah. When there isn't necessarily a job, they're obviously for recruiting there's a job, yeah, cool. But people who come for a job in terms of there's not one there, but I'm going to try and etch one out, I'm going to try and prove my worth to get a job, never really worked out because there's an expectation there. I want something from you. And all is the same for me. I want your knowledge and I want the experience you can give me. I want it for myself. Yeah. And that's what I was saying after that 6 months. If you would have said, yeah, cool, I would have been fine with it. I would have been probably a bit gutted, but I would have no hard feelings. I'd been, yeah, cool, and I probably would have gone to the next place. You know, that would have given me that experience. So the next place, and cracked on until I'd got to a level where I was happy. You know, about you know, 2-3 years. No, I've learned enough now. Now I can go for a job, or I've gone and apply for a job straight away with what I've learned. You never know how it's going to work out, but I'd have been totally happy with that. Well, I always said to myself as well, like I'll never, like I get to a point where, like if I ever stop learning or feel like I'm not developing, then that's probably the time to move on or do something. Well, look, if you have not found that yet.
There's no shit that crops up like fucking up. I need to sort that.
Yeah, exactly. So
you said what to do. I need to fucking calm that down.
Yeah.
So when what was the thing? How did we fucking offer you money?
For fucking hell.
What was the thing? Did he say, "Oh, what you own at PC World will cover it"? Or something?
Yeah, that was it.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. I don't think I can tell you what I was getting paid for how many hours working. It'd be illegal, wouldn't it? You get arrested.
Should we say? I don't know. No. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you can edit it out.
It wasn't cash in hand though, just for anybody.
No, it was through the books. Yeah. But yeah, I think basically it was. Fucking hell, it's on. Do you want to say a figure?
You can do. Yeah, I'm not. Don't bother me.
I think at the time, because obviously I was only working technically part time at PC World, but I was happy with it. Like, you know, like stupidly or not, you know, because I was just that passionate about wanting to learn and wanting to get in the industry and just prove my worth, I guess. That I was like, it didn't bother me. So I think I don't even think it was £900 a month. I think I was getting paid about 850 £900 a month. But we were working at the time then, it was 65, 70 hours a week.
Easy.
Do you know, we didn't have start and end times. Yeah. I remember that. We had a bit of a run in early doors about that. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember the story. So like, I'd be here at 9 o'clock when Jenny was here, you know, and because you was in Oldham at the time, you wouldn't turn up till like 10, 11, would you? Yeah. But because of that, you'd stay till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock, whenever it was. And at first, because I was just like so thirsty for like knowledge and learning, I'd come in at 9 in the morning. I'd be doing whatever you set me off with. Because that's how it started, right? You give me a little personal project to work on at first. And within 2 weeks, I was doing client work. And that's just how it started. Yeah. But I'd be doing whatever I was doing in the morning. And then we'd come in, we'd working stuff together. And I'd just stay until we'd be sat around and go, we've had enough today. Not like, no, we go, right. Yeah. Start at 9:30, finish at 5:30. Yeah. It was like, go on, it's 8 o'clock, should we get off? We'd eat here, all the rest of it. So we was doing that, and then I remember I never actually had a conversation about start and end times, because it was just like I used to come in at 9 or whenever as early as I could get in. Because when I was in that 6 month before I got took on, I was still working 30 hours a week. So I was coming in here. I used to work Saturday, Sunday all day, and obviously we didn't come in here at weekends. Well, I didn't at the time, and I had a couple of days off during the week. So I think it was like Wednesday, Thursdays. So I'd do a 12-hour day in here Wednesday, Thursdays because I wanted just to learn. And the other days, I started work down there at 2 in the afternoon. So I'd come in and do 9 till 1:30 here. And I'd get changed into the uniform, wouldn't I? I'd put my bag on and I'd go and work down there. So I was doing 12-hour days, even them days, because I'd be in here at 9, I'd be finishing at 9 down there, or 8, 9, whenever it was. So it didn't make any odds because I was already working that much. And it wasn't, listen, the notion of working 60, 70 hours now sounds horrendous even to us, doesn't it? But at the time, it was just like, I describe it when we first started, it was just mates having fun, weren't we? Just doing what we wanted to do and working it out, you know. But I remember there was one, it was like a Friday or whatever it was, and we'd done all we needed to do. Because back in the day, you know, we didn't have as much work on. So
did you want to go home early?
Yeah. So I'll tell the story. So I think we'd done we'd done the
giving you fucking career. You want to go home early.
You want to go home one time.
Fucking hell.
And we'd done all the client work, and then like back in them days, we'd do the client stuff, and we'd do the brands or we'd do the design work, and then we'd just do Tim Marner stuff. So we'd be sat around dreaming stuff up like cakes and all that. So that's where your head went straight away, wasn't it? Yeah.
Fucking brilliant that. What was it, Icing Ghetto since 2014?
Yeah. Lost a lot of followers that one, didn't we?
I should put that up as a clip. In fact, I can't put that up now.
No, yeah, cancelled. Yeah. 10 years ago. Yeah. But I remember we'd been doing this all week, whatever it was, and then one of my mates had finished work early, and he was like, "Oh, do you fancy going for a beer?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool." And it was like 4 in the afternoon or something. So it wasn't like mega. It wasn't like 12 o'clock. Yeah, job and knock and go. It was like 4 o'clock on a Friday, and I'd done everything I wanted to do. And obviously, I thought it was a different agreement. Like I thought we just like people was turn up and thinking. So I logged off my computer, like pushed my shower. Anyways, guys, have a good week and see you later. And you're like looking across the desk at me, and you're like, "Where you going?" I was like, "I'm gonna go home." He's like, "All right." He was like, "Well, it's not 5 o'clock." And I was like, "Well, is that what time we finish?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "So why am I here till fucking 8, 9 o'clock every night then?" And you was just like, "We finish at 5 o'clock." And then you was like, "Well, if you want to go, it's fine." And I was like, "Well, it's not really, is it?" And I was like, "Oh, no, it's fine." So I remember just sitting back down at my computer. I was like, wait till 5 o'clock rolls around then. And I could have gone home, you would have let me go home. But I think, again, this was more me being a bit pig-headed of going, "No, well, you saying I can't? Right, I'll stay till 5 o'clock. I was thinking. And then 5 o'clock rolled around, and I was like, "Right, okay, I'm going."
Crazy, isn't it? Isn't it crazy what we've learned on the job and stuff like that? And it's fucking mental, mate. And remember, like, I think maybe we've had maybe 2, maybe 3 run-ins, but that one with the video where you were doing video a lot, and then all of a sudden it was expected that Gaz is now the video guy. And Tim, I don't want to do video anymore. I'm like, I can't remember what the fuck I said.
No, what it was
I think you've triggered me so much, that it's like I feel like you've healed me a lot because you trigger me that much. and it's not from I know you don't do it intentionally and you do it from a good place and stuff like that. But little Tim gets triggered with you. I think I want more out of anybody that you've helped me get over stuff, ego, all that nonsense. I think I'm glad the way it's gone. And I was saying this the other day because I've started getting recognised quite a lot on the street, right? People saying, "I've told you some stories of people, what's it?" And I'm not attached to it, which I'm really, really happy about. My ego is not attached to it at all. I don't feel anything. And I do feel that is having you in my life is part of that.
You reckon?
Yeah, because you get rid of my ego because you're calling me out on shit that I've got no answers for. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with it, and all I want to do is just explode at you and fucking attack you.
Yeah, but that's the thing, exactly that there. And this is how, again, a lot of people skirt by with stuff, is the fear, right? Yeah. And, like, for example, and I've seen this, not necessarily in here, but I think it happens in here, plus outside, like in other jobs I've worked, it's like non-negotiable, the guy at the top. Is in charge and what he says goes. And I don't disagree with that because, like we always say, I think people need to make decisions and people need to fall in line at certain points. What I do think there is a little bit in between is for people to be challenged productively, to have opinions changed for the betterment of everybody else, not just for me, right? Yeah. And again, it comes back down to that fair thing. So we talk about a situation there. it was more than fair for me to go home at 4 o'clock,
100%.
and it was unfair, realistically, in the hindsight of it, for you to be like, where the fuck are you going?
Yeah.
But hey, it is what it is. But you're you're not thinking about it, you're just looking at it, because in your head you're going, well, you work here, like I'm paying you till 5 o'clock. So I totally get the thing on it. Yeah. I think obviously there's a grey area of going, well, actually, let's look at what we've done to what we're thinking and whatever it is, but by the by.
You got really such a nice way of looking at things like that, that you'll trigger me, explain it to me, under like the logo thing, this is the meaning why this is not fair what you're doing right now, Tim. And I'll go, for fuck's sake. But something else I need to get over, brilliant.
but that's the thing with what you're saying there is like, and you're miles better now than you used to be, because you was a lot more emotional back in the day.
Yeah.
But it comes back then to that fair thing about what's right in the situation. And like, listen, it sounds like I'm fucking pulling you at every little thing, and it's not, is it? I still choose what things to say and what things not to say. And I always pay a lot of this sort of gratitude towards Fulton, because I think he was the one who spoke his mind a lot in here, and he actually made waves for us to get out to a lot fairer state, I think, which I couldn't do on my own before because of the dynamic of the company. There was 4 of us, and it was you and Lee, who were obviously on the same side. It was Kay, who was your partner at the time, and then it was little old me. So when Joe came in, it was like, oh, it was all right to have a different opinion. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. So you could almost like band together and think. And I think even regardless of that, is people will be scared to even come to you maybe now or to other people, because it's like, oh, I'm going to have a go at me, or it's going to, I'm challenging the boss. It's not necessarily right. Whereas I was always looking at it going, I don't care. Again, it comes back to that thing about who it is. If someone's wrong, they're wrong. And that's subjective in itself. I get that, right? But again, now you look at the situation, you go, well, this is what you're asking and this is what you're giving. Do they align? Listen, there's always going to be a bit of a skew, right? But if the skew is that big, where it's unfair, then I can go to you and go, well, come on, Tim, you're being unreasonable now. Whereas other people would be scared of that.
Yeah. The thing is with you, it annoys me because you get to that really quickly, right? And it takes me about 2 days. I've said to you before, I'm a bit thick, and sometimes I need telling 4 or 5 times, and then it drops. The thing is with you get to it really quickly, and you say it in the moment, and everyone's head falls off. And they're like, oh, Gaz is being fucking, wants it again. But you've gone to, I don't know if it's your game, analytical brain, but you can get to that so quickly, weighing up the pros and cons, the sort of risk factors, and going, no, that's not fair, wait a minute. And you'll say it in the moment, you're just like, who the fuck are you talking to me like that?
Yeah.
Where sometimes I need to catch up a little bit, where I'm like, I've triggered me, then I'll come back to it, because I'm so sorry about that, mate. I'm like, little Tim fucking had a little bit of a moment there where...
I think it's been like that. I mean, for me, in a lot of situations, where...
You're quick, mate. Your mind's quick in it.
Well, I don't know any different, do I guess? But I have. I mean, there's certain times like where I've had it within here. I remember there's something we were doing on a website sometime, and we're sat in there, and I sort of seen the problem straight away of it, and I was like, yeah, but how are we going to do this? And it was like, and then what people say back to you is, it's already like 3-4 steps ago, and I'm like, no, I understand this, but you got to walk them through the gates, and it's like, oh, you're already a little bit like, you're getting frustrated. It's like, and then you'll argue with you for 5 steps, and then you finally get to step 7 where we're all at the same place, and then you go after an hour and a half, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, and I'm like, oh, right, but at least we're all here now. Like, how do we solve it? Because I don't have the answer, but I just know this is the problem. Like, but it's getting people to understand the problem, right? And that's half the battle. But yeah, I think I've always just been like that. I've going. And again, it has to be a big enough thing. There's stuff that you say and do that I don't necessarily agree with, but I'm like, it's not big enough to bring up. And I mean, everyone has that, but in things, especially with the brand stuff that you talk about, logos, what I'm trying to say is, I think I will look at it and there'll be a deficit in your rationale, if it's with a logo, right? Or an argument, right? Where you just go, well, I think it should be that way. And I'm like, that's not good enough, right? Because I imagine ourselves sat in front of the client and they ask us the same question, and I'm going, I don't know. Ask Tim, and then Tim's like, yeah, well, I just wanted it to be that way. Do you know what I mean? It's just so Tim pot, isn't it? So I'm like
Tim Pot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like
Oh,
that.
Tim
Well,
Pot.
when I looked out the window this morning, this is what the fucking bird said to me, and it should look
I
like
had a download, Gaz. I had a
Alright,
download, and I'm
alright.
like, but like, so you can't argue with that. This is what I mean. I try and put things back into a rational, logical thing, and I'm like, if I can describe the deficit for you, and I put it out to you, unless you're an irrational human being, which not many people are, hard to believe, they'll go, yeah, okay, cool, I can't argue with that. So there's no argument with it. Do you know what I mean? Where I think, well, people get stuck in these perspectives, and they won't analyze a deficit or put a concise argument across. Neither the other person, and then it's just, oh, you should see, said, and that's when the ego gets involved.
Yeah,
Well, I want to be right now.
Yeah.
And so, I'm the exact same way with you when you come to me, and you've probably learned to approach me that way now. So if you go, you can't do this way, Gaz, because of this, and I go sick, cool, yeah, you've proved that is right, and I don't have anything logical that I can say back to you to fight the corner of it or disprove it. Cool, I'm totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. Can't argue with it, can you?
No.
But that comes into our, I think, say we come back there into our branding thing, it's the same thing. People can't argue with it because it's evidenced. Whereas other agencies and other places will just put a logo together and go, what do you think of that?
Yeah. Here's a mood board. Do you like any of them? Come back, backwards and forwards, you go for a bit. And then...
Yeah. And then what happens is the client, who doesn't have the knowledge or expertise to brand themselves up, it's the whole reason they've reached out for help in the first place, ends up branding themselves up. And that's why it doesn't work. Because the expert isn't being the expert, isn't in the expertise, they're just a blunt tool to create something because they know how to make a logo in Illustrator. Yeah. But it's the concepts come from the client. People just don't want to think, do they? I don't think sometimes. They want to put themselves out there.
I think people don't want to feel. I think it's
maybe,
more so, mate.
Yeah.
You got to feel, haven't you?
Yeah. That's what I do. I always do that, and that's it. But this is the weird thing. You talk about that gap in between. And like I said before, I'm very logical and analytical, but my primary compass is feel.
Yeah, which is interesting because you think, feel, do, where I just feel and do. Sometimes there's not that thinking bit, and that's that gap that you're talking about, that think and feel bit. Yeah. You bridge that gap really, really well. That's
literally my creative process. Is this feels right?
Yeah.
How do I ground it? How do I make it accessible to people? How do I make it logical? Yeah. How do I evidence it? And that's the two sides of it. Is capturing that feeling, that emotion, but then making it tangible for people. And I think that's my process, my niche, my approach right there is that. I feel that's the 50-50.
Through the years, I think you've obviously implemented the feel bit a lot more for you to. I think that's what I felt on the Sylvian one. I felt it more. Like the thinking one, you rationalise it really well, you deliver it really well, and I get it. But then within that one, I felt it in my heart as well as my head, and them two felt aligned when I was like, oh, I think Gaz is just.
Yeah, that's definitely been the part I think that has developed the most. Yeah. Because I've always been like technically quite good. Yeah. But like you said, I pretty much self-taught myself. I'm not saying I did it all on my own, right? But you pick things up. But it generally is like I'd learn a tidbit here at college or at university, and then I'd go home and I'd be on YouTube and I'd go, right, okay, cool, I'm going to do this. Or I'd vice versa, wherever I was at. So I've always been technically all right. I've always been able to put stuff together, haven't I? Funnily enough, the only reason I knew how to do video editing at the time is when we started doing that was because I used to make gaming montages when I was younger with my friends, like from gameplay for YouTube and stuff. So that's where that came from. But I've always been able to like do a good logo or do a good design or do whatever it is. But it was that I think I've properly got an understanding of the feeling side of things now, of grounding a feeling for people to feel, to understand. And I think, to be fair, if I ask you how I do that now, I think it's just, again, it's that process of decompressing it. We did it yesterday. It's like, I was going through whatever was going through the project today, and I read your thing, and straight away, and it's weird, right? You'll read your copy, like before you show me next day, you're like, yeah, sick. And I do it with you, and the person comes in, you pitch it into, they sit down, and then you read it again. But just having that person there, and what I think it is when you sit in that room, I go, how is Tim going to view this? What's he going to be looking for? So I actually move out from my own headspace and I come and sit in your chair, and straight away I go, it's not personable enough, this. And you did exactly the same with me yesterday. As soon as I started reading it, you read it again, and straight away you went, you've gone from being, this is locked, so this is cool, to going, fuck, I'm missing all the personality out of this.
The essence of,
Because you're gone, and then straight away you went, a bit mechanical in it.
Yeah.
But it's right, you just got to get it down, and then you go back through it.
It's not what I used to do. Remember, like, before it, just like, I used to just get it down and then give it to you, and then you just rewrite it. You know what I mean? And it's that, that getting that mechanical bit down of what it is, just getting, have a little bit of a feeling of it. Okay, the logo should do that, and then you grab it, and it's fucking. So I think our process is so good. Lots. We just need more time for me and you. That hour to what does circle of trust mean? What does it really mean? Not what it means out there, but what does it mean to us? You know, what does this mean? What does that mean? And that, and
that's the thing with it as well, is because I always think about this. I always try and align it, because, you know, when I was growing up and stuff, my dad always gave me two routes, really. He either said, the piece of advice he gave me was, he said, either do something you love and don't worry too much about the money, as long as you can, you know, pay your way and have a decent living. Or do something you're not particularly passionate about, you hate, but just make sure you get paid a shitload of money for it if you do. So I always went with option A, went to do something that I enjoy doing, that I'm passionate about, and, you know, because,
fulfills you.
Yeah, because, you know, you don't get into this game to be a millionaire, do you? You know, you do it for what you get out of it, the feeling that you get of helping people and creating really cool stuff and all the rest of it. But I was trying to find out now.
The two reasons that your dad give you.
Yeah, what was the topic for that though?
I can't remember. We've just gone off that many fucking tangents.
Well, yeah, there you go. There's a good tidbit there. I can't remember what we're talking about now. Rewind the tape. What was he talking about?
What were we talking about, Sean?
I've already lost it.
I was going somewhere. It's my plane. It's landing again. We're talking about the circle of trust and...
Yeah, we're talking about me and you spending that time together. See, I had my eyes shut on a thing, which is really weird. That time, me and you spending more time together, that hour beforehand, you know, and just giving ourselves that time to think about circle of trust, thinking about the jobs.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
I don't know. I'll probably go in some really convoluted thing where I was going to, like, Inception 10 layers deep and try and land a point there with about the money versus thingy, but I can't remember where I was going with it. But yeah, I think nowadays we're very work rich but time poor, aren't we? You know, in terms of like getting on projects and doing all that, and just the natural everyday of, you know, running an agency, I guess, of just doing the work. But
if you were going to like give anybody advice now starting off in the creative agency, you know, somebody at school or at college kind of looking for this path, what advice would you give them? Would you be saying go to uni, or would you be saying look for work experience?
No, I'd do an apprenticeship, me.
Yeah.
But I think what I'd give them, the advice I'd give them would be get all right with feeling stupid, or be all right with feeling stupid, because I think that's the single hardest thing. I think everyone struggles with. I think this industry is massive for imposter syndrome, but I don't think it's. And when I say that, I don't think that's a reflection on people's skill sets. I think it's so fluid, and you can do absolutely anything you want with any project. There isn't a right or wrong answer. So you almost, and that's what we come down to, that pendulum of, is this genius or insanity? And you get in your own head with that a lot. And I think that's rife in this industry. And it's so hard to picture ideas. Going back to my uni days, I used to do crits. When I was telling you about this, where you go and stick your work on the wall. In the first year, even going in second year, I was terrified of sticking my work up on the wall. Because I didn't necessarily think it was bad, but I was just, I didn't know if I'd done it right or not. And the embarrassment or the feeling stupid that come along with that was just not too much. So what I would do is I'd still go to the crates, but I won't put my own work on the wall. Because in the first year, there was like 70, 80 students on my course. It was massive. So what I would do is go through, again, methodical, go through, and I'd let someone else's work get critiqued, but I'd be taking notes myself. Whereas a lot of other people would sit there like, oh, it's my job now. Yeah, tell me what I've done wrong and sit back up. Whereas I was listening, active listening, going right. Okay, all right. So he said that. So this is what they're looking for. And that's who I work with. I look at it. I go, well, you're critiquing it. Why are you critiquing it for that? Because you think this is necessarily wrong with it or this. And I go, right. Okay. Well, if they're critiquing it, what are they actually looking for? And you reverse engineer the answer from the actions and what people say. Do you know what I mean? That's how I work, anyways. So like. And that makes things really easy and logical to me. It's like that's how I approach everything, you know. It's like if Tim gets annoyed at this, well, obviously he doesn't like this, so maybe we don't do this. You know what I mean? It seems logical to me. I don't know, but it was that fear of, you know, not like wanting to look stupid in front of people. But you know, like realistic, I'm like, you seem like 2 or 3 people, and they like just. It's that judgment, I think, and it's probably even worse nowadays, isn't it, with social media and all the rest of it. But
I think I've been all right with always being like that, though. Being like, I don't care if people think I'm stupid. I think that is like quite a good trait of mine. I think that I don't really care if you think I'm stupid.
Yeah.
And I will put my ideas out there as bonkers as yet, and I've always have done, and be shot down. I'm just like, I'm all right with that. I'm all right.
I think that's what I struggle with the most. Yeah. Is just that, like the thing of looking stupid or getting things wrong. Maybe that's the better messages. You know, just don't be afraid to fail. Just like. Because everyone gets shit wrong. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, as daft as it sounds, right? Say, mentioned it a few times. Play a lot of computer games. I've always been a console controller, and very recently got like getting into the PC game and using the mouse and keyboard. So alien to me. But I'm just at an age now where I'm like, I'm all right at being shit at it.
Yeah.
But when you start everything, you're shit at it. You shit at everything. First time you pick up a guitar, I want to put your hands there. You got to be shit at it. You got to be all right with being shit at it, because that's the only way you get any good.
Yeah.
And it's like what you say is like, what I was doing was I was turning up to the dance, but I weren't getting on the dance floor. I was learning bits and bats, but you never really,
yeah,
until you get involved. So yeah, just fucking get out there. Don't worry what people think about you. Your ideas. Listen, I always say this as well, and that's one of my sayings that I've coined the last 10 years: is every idea is fucking stupid until it's not stupid anymore, and it's just what it is.
Yeah.
And I just think, you just put it out there. We always say there's no such thing as a bad idea, and that's one good thing about, you know, working with you, and we have a laugh, you know, and we do poke fun at each other, but it's never any deeper than you're never made to feel stupid. You're never made to feel belittled or that you know, or any of that. It's always light-hearted, and I think it's always been welcome for people to put their ideas across, and, you know, we'll never shoot anybody down. We'll have a laugh if it's totally ridiculous, you know what I mean, but we'll never shoot anybody down. I think it's quite a safe environment in that sense. But I think it's good and bad that I think you just gotta do it. You just gotta put your ideas out there and just be all right with getting it wrong, or people not getting it, because that's a big thing as well, isn't it? It was so subjective what we do.
Yeah.
You could have the best idea in the world, but if the person sat across from you isn't getting it, what can you do? You try, but if they're just not getting it, they say it's shit. I've had it. Well, I've had it. You must have had it in the past. But I've had it even when, like, I've done a logo or whatever it is in here, even between us two, and I cast it up and I'm like so confident. I'm like, okay, so he's gonna love this one. You're like, And I'm like, what do you mean? And I sit up and I'm like, you fucking get that. And I go into like, this is brilliant, this. And you're like, yeah, well, I'm just not really getting it, you know. Well, again, and that's two people who work quite well together, you know, and just...
Rare that, though, isn't it, now these days?
Yeah, no, not these days, but even back then when it, you know, it was there or thereabouts, wasn't it? You know, but you still, sometimes you it's like, I mean, that was the saying as well that they sort of said, when was it? I think it's at university, it was like, be prepared to kill your babies with these concepts that you come up with, you know, you get so precious over them, don't you? And I think it's a thing when you're in the industry as well, like it sounds like really old now, but you come in at first and you're so passionate, aren't you? It's like everything, it really winds you up thinking, I don't know if we're just a bit battle worn now, where it's just like, we expect the client to act a certain way. And again, even that, it's not like the idea's bad, it's just that they want a bit of control, or they want to make you dance the way they want to dance and all the rest of it. And you just got to do do the dance there.
Can we jazz this tune up a little bit?
It's like what? Yeah.
I don't like our dancing.
Yeah. What's the other one that they say? Can we make it pop a little?
Yeah.
What's that even mean? You know. But yeah, it's just. I mean, do you know what? What is quite nice to see is with Will in the position he's in now. Because obviously I've been on his journey with him from college through to, you know, how many years he's been in the industry now. But it's almost like looking in a wormhole, looking at myself like 4 or 5 years ago. Because he'll, like, the client will come back to something and he's and it's so funny to watch because I'm like, that was me. Yeah. Like, I was exactly the same way. Yeah. But I guess you was probably the same with me, looking down at me, going, like, you was laughing at it, going, fucking hell, I was exactly the same as you was.
It's brutal. Yeah. It's brutal. Yeah. Brownfield, Gaz?
40 minutes, yeah.
40 minutes, Brownfield. Appreciate you, mate.
Well, thank you for having us on.
Let's do another one in 10 years, yeah?
Another one in 10 years, yeah.
Thank you for listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Tim Marner, you're branded with the best. Tim Marner.